Oh my God, Google's making me re-log in right now. So I don't know if we're actually even streaming out to the audience. If you guys can hear me, I'm so sorry.
Love when that happens.
It is live.
Okay, it is live. Well, give us a second.
Yep, people can hear you.
Oh my God. Okay, here we go.
Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Transatlantic Call-In Show here on the line. I'm Josie Caballero, and this is Luxander, and I'm happy to be here. How are you doing, Lux?
I'm doing okay. I just got back from the gym and I have recently discovered the joy of listening to metal. I've never really been into metal. I don't really, I'm kind of weird about music. But in the gym, it turns out that Slayer is the perfect thing to listen to when you're pushing weights.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. And then I don't actually care about the lyrics, but it turns out that a lot of the lyrics are actually kind of like anti-authoritarian and anti-religion.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's kind of fun. That's fun. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, like in my earbuds while I'm at the gym. So I'm having a
Oh,
good
yeah.
time.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times when I was like in the Navy, when I worked out a lot, listening to Rage Against the Machine and Atreyu and all of like those like classic metal,
Yeah.
yeah, bands, and it's
Thrash
like
metal, because it has to be high tempo. Like I was
it does,
originally
yeah,
listening to the Doom soundtrack, but Doom metal is like so slow. And I'm like, no, I
yeah.
want to be like, that's what you need
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
gym. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's just like an audience of like just screaming and you got this and it's like
Exactly.
it's absolutely
It is
perfect. I mean,
empowering. Yeah. How
it
are you
is.
doing? I haven't seen you
I'm
in a few
doing good.
weeks.
I know. Well, I am 25 days from my election day. So anxiety is like through the roof.
Yeah.
But we're like crushing it though. It's like I don't want to jinx things, but we're like really, really close to winning this race. In fact, we're gonna be doing a Cuz I Wanna in on the 5th. In the evening on Friday, which is going to get us over the top on the line because the Zerbalink has raised over $8,000 since we started running that campaign with the
Hell yeah.
Zerbalink. And so I'm hoping that we get somebody great and help us get over 10,000. I mean, the line like has essentially paid for like our digital program in a sense. Like, and
Hmm.
so if we can get another 4 to 5,000, like that helps us get like the final message of our digital and our text programs out.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, we're nearly at $200,000 raised. I mean,
That's good.
it's a lot. I
For a
mean,
local
which
campaign, that's really good.
yeah, we're still the top 5 fundraiser right now. I mean, it's getting close, and people are saying they love our campaign, so we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
that's exciting.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to share a little positivity on that note because like it's so nice to be able to vote for a trans person. We just had our primary season in Oregon, and one of the Democratic candidates, I was kind of caught between two for the primary, and I was like, when have I ever had the chance to vote for a trans woman for a governor primary? So I did that, even though like I was very close between her and this other candidate. But I'm like, it just felt powerful to have the opportunity,
Mhm.
even if she didn't win, and I knew she wasn't going to win. There's a Democratic incumbent. I knew that Tina
Right.
Kotek is going to be the person, so it's whatever. But you use primary season to push the candidate in the direction you want them to be in. So if you know that, okay, as a Democratic candidate, a lot of further left leaning challengers got the votes, then that's going to pull her to the left, hopefully, ideally, in that ideal situation. Of course, she's
Yeah.
still kind of a corporate Democrat, but better than any Republican. And I just feel proud that I had an opportunity to vote for Rabbi Fora. It was pretty cool. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's super great. I mean, it is one of those things that it is very, very empowering. And when I have all the time, I'll have people, they'll tell me, they're like, Oh my gosh, as trans people, they were like, I'm so happy to see you on the ballot. Like this matters so much to me, like
Yeah.
parents and so many people. So it is special. It is special. And the fact that we actually have a chance to like win makes it
Yeah, that's
all
big.
much better. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I think
So
you have a way better chance than Rabbi Fora did for the
yeah.
governorship here. So yeah, that's going to be it's going to be amazing. Even if you don't win, I think you're still going to pull a significant amount of the vote and that is going to be a challenge to the status quo for sure.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. So we know we're gonna finish strong regardless of what happens, but
Hmm.
I mean it's gonna change a lot. So I did put the link to the Zerba link. So if y'all wanna donate, make my day, that'd be good. I did
Yeah.
3.5 phone hours of phone calls doing raising money
Mhm.
on this right before the show. So I'm exhausted. I'm burning the candle on both ends, but and after the show, I immediately go and take a packet and go canvas. So I'm going to be
Oh,
canvassing for like
it's gonna
two or
be
3 hours
it's gonna be a busy
afterwards.
month for you. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, absolutely. But you know what? This doesn't fall from the sky, right? It takes hard work and determination, and a lot of people
Yeah.
don't realize that like when you're running for office, it's not glory. It is mostly just grunt like making calls, knocking on doors, like doing all of the questionnaires and like very few like rah rah. Like it's not really like that. It's
Yeah.
very like hard work intensive stuff. So yeah, it is what it is. But I appreciate you asking. I mean, it is so close. It is so
Yeah.
close.
What's the actual date of the
June
election?
23rd.
June 23rd. Okay. Right
Yep,
at the peak
yep,
of summer or at the beginning of
yep.
summer, not the peak of summer. Right after
Yeah.
the first day of summer. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. So we're hoping to get some good news. Yeah, we're hoping to get it. So we'll
Are
see
there any
how it
polls
goes.
projecting right now? Like, do they do at the local level? I guess they don't do those kind of like Gallup testing
Yeah,
where people are at.
no, especially with 17 people running and
Oh,
four seats, like
okay.
we have to run essentially congressional level campaigns with like shoestring local budgets.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, like a congressional, there's like 5 congressional districts in my county that
Mm-hmm.
I'm covering. So a lot of the parts and pieces, but mostly Jamie Raskin and then other places. But like a congressional candidate raises millions of dollars to do like a fifth of how much I have to get in votes. And
Wow.
and it is very aggravating because this is actually going to affect a lot more people for county
Mm-hmm.
council because I actually want to build like public workforce housing. Like I actually want to like create housing at the county level
Yeah.
and make it affordable instead of asking like developers to like not build luxury housing, which is like asking water to not be wet. It's like
True.
it's like, hey, developers, please don't take large profits and build for the common good of our communities. And
Quitty,
it's
please
like,
don't. We know how well that works.
yeah,
Asking quitty,
exactly.
please.
And they wear the little monocle and they're like, no.
Yeah. Get this peasant out of here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this is a monopoly board and we have all the money, so get out. Like
Yeah, for
and
sure.
and so yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot. Their developer candidates are already dumped about $1.5 million into this race, going after one of the county executives and saying all
Mm,
these lies. And they also are supporting a slate of candidates that are running against me and other progressives. But honestly, I don't think it's gonna work. I just don't think it's gonna work. Like we
yeah.
have a huge, large endorsement list. But anyways, so let's go ahead and see what last week's poll was.
Yeah.
Do you think House reps care about parents in HB 2616, or is cruelty of outing trans kids the point? Obviously, 97% says that cruelty is the point, and 3% say they care about parents. If you are in that 3% and you are listening right now, please call in and tell us why. I would like to see how you believe that Republicans actually care about the parents when trying to pass this type of legislation. And that would be great. And do you have anything to say on this one?
Yeah, I wasn't here last week, so I'm catching up a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what this is about. I want to make sure I give, context if anybody wasn't here last week so that we know like what we're discussing here. Uh 2616 basically it's the short not the short title, but they create like a colloquial title beyond just the numbers, and the title of this one is Stopping Indoctrination and Protecting Kids Act. And it's basically like you must have parental consent related to gender markers, pronouns, and preferred names on school forms and sex-based accommodations. So this is kind of just basically making it so that a kid cannot safely come out to a teacher at school. I think it probably creates some kind of mandatory reporting, basically, where if a kid comes out at school, the parents must be notified, or if the kid requests different pronouns or a different nickname or whatever, then that's going to require parental involvement. And of course, we all want and hope that trans kids or any LGBTQ kid or any kid in general has supportive, loving parents. However, kids are not stupid. If they have made an evaluation that for some reason it's not safe for them to tell their parent, but they are reaching out to a safe adult at school, then we are potentially putting children in literal physical danger with notifying their parents, which means that, you know, uh, I think it's like a majority of homeless youth in this country are LGBTQ. I would need to double check, but it's
I don't
quite a
know if it's a
large
majority, but it's
it's
a
a quite a large
large
percentage.
percentage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It might be majority actually. If
yeah,
you're
it's been a
just
minute.
talking about the population. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's been
that's
a
right.
minute since I looked into it, but I think yeah,
Yeah.
quite a large number of homeless youth in this country are kicked out of their familial homes because of their gender identity or their sexual orientation. And that obviously opens them up to so many other risks, like risk of being exposed to drugs and, risk of dying of exposure and lack of adequate food and water, like all of the things that are scary about being homeless. We are imposing that on children when we pass laws like this. So, yeah, do the House representative actually care about the parents and like making sure that the parents have an adequate say? I mean, yeah, ostensibly, I'm sure that that is what some of them truly believe in their hearts, that like children are the belongings of parents and that parents have the right to basically do whatever they want with their children. And then suddenly when they turn 18, it becomes society's problem. Um, but I do think that at the very minimum, the cruelty, I mean, I do think the cruelty is the point as well, though, because I think that there is a hope here that the parents will beat the shit out of their kids and make them not gay anymore effectively.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little
They
bit of
want to
both.
harken back. They want to harken back to the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like it was completely normal to tease and bully kids that were queer
Yeah.
and it's very real. I mean, I was just talking to my sister yesterday and we were reminiscing about how much I was bullied by the asshole like kids in school, and it was because I wasn't like a boy, right? Like it
Mm.
was like I was different, I was queer, right? And it was, I still had a decent time in high school, I guess, but for me it was just like, oh, it's just the way life is. You're just like bullied for being a little bit more feminine or sensitive as a
Yep.
boy, presenting boy, and it was just like a lot. So yeah, I totally get it. But yeah, it's bad. And also just recently here in my county in Maryland, they just passed a piece of legislation, or the not legislation, sorry, the school just changed policies that if a parent requests, they can force out their kid. So that is also awful because there was no legal reason why they had to do that. They just
Hmm.
did it because they were threatened by a lawsuit from a Stephen Miller organization. So it was just gross. It was just gross, and it's right here. And people think, oh, there's blue states, but again, there's places that you think are more liberal that are still, and
Still
it's
doing
it's
it.
still
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
Capitulating.
Yep, exactly. So let's see what this week's poll is, and we'll have our first call. Have you or anyone you know been a victim of violent anti-trans hate crimes? This is a very interesting question. And yeah, so please answer the question just so we can kind of see how things go. And with that, we'll go ahead and take the first call. I would say the first one in queue, if that seems to be okay with you. All
Sure.
right.
I want to say
So,
we do have some basically like advice calls and we will take those, but we are looking to talk to people who are oppositional. We want to have the conversation. We want to discuss our differences. So if you think that, if you believe that trans kids should be outed to their parents, you think that that's the best option for them, that's the best for their well-being, I'd love for you to justify that. If you think trans kids should not have access to medical treatment for their gender dysphoria, I want to know. I don't really want to talk about sports today, but if you insist, I mean, like, I want to get into the meat and potatoes of it all. Um,
yeah.
if you
If you
disagree with
believe,
the idea that you can hate crime a trans person, for sure,
yeah,
because we will dive further into that when we come back around to discuss the poll. But yeah, 720-619-2288, the number's there on the screen. And if you're from outside the US, then we have a web caller link in the description where you can basically over the internet get your call into us, and we would love to talk to y'all. And if you're here just chilling, you know what to do. You gotta hit that like button. You got to
that's
touch the
right.
screen as many times as humanly possible, hit share, and then copy the link. And I would love it if you did copy paste that somewhere, but you don't have to as far as YouTube is concerned. So thank you. We
That's
appreciate y'all's
true.
support.
Yep, and we're doing really well on the line, so help us get there.
Yeah.
We are only 2,000 away from 200,000. Wow, big milestone on the
Yeah.
way. Yeah,
That's going to be cool.
so it's gonna be great. All right, so we will take our first caller, Aaliyah. She, her, 25 from New York, wants to know how to get politically involved when you don't have energy or resources to do so. So tell us about it.
Yeah. Also, it's Alia.
Alia,
Alia.
my apologies.
Oh, you're fine. It's like you would not be the first person to mispronounce my name, and you will not be the last.
Understand.
But basically, I don't have a lot of resources to support political campaigns and whatnot. I also don't really have a lot of energy because I'm disabled, and most of my disabilities have to do with like mental disabilities, which basically means that I'm constantly fighting myself to get stuff done. So I don't have very many spoons to spend to do other things. And I'm curious,
Yeah.
how do I get involved politically?
Yeah, and so just so I can be clear, you mean supporting other political candidates, or are you talking about yourself getting like in office?
Oh, other political candidates. I don't think I want to be in office. That's too much stress, I think, for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I understand. So there is a tool that I use when I'm training people specifically on fundraising. For example, it's called the political ladder of engagement, and everybody falls differently on this ladder. The first rung is like a voter, somebody who just votes and does nothing else. That is the lowest rung on the ladder of political engagement, and then the highest rung on that ladder is running for office yourself to be politically engaged and active to actually be in office to basically do political things. And but in between, there's so many different things that people do. People donate, people volunteer, knock on doors, make phone calls, send texts, talk to friends, join clubs or organizations, lead clubs and organizations. There are so many little things that you can do that is higher than just voting. So one of the things, if you don't have a lot of energy or resources, is join a political club. It could be like a queer club, like there's a lot of LGBTQ Stonewall clubs or Democrats for Equality clubs or any type of like politically active club that you would like. There's also a lot of different affinities, maybe a progressive type Democratic club, and I'm using Democrat, but if it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a Democratic political organization, but anything that basically has a place where people gather. um, is a good start to just like, okay, I only have the energy to, go to a meeting once a month. And some of those meetings are virtual. So you go to that meeting once a month and you're participating in this group of people who have like ideas. You maybe vote on some things, maybe, there's a fundraiser that happens with that organization. Maybe they're doing endorsements, right? So they need you to vote on a candidate that you think is good to vote for example. So like when a candidate, throws an endorsement on like, let's say, when you have like, let's see, for example, I have a lot of local club endorsements. So a candidate gets those endorsements because that candidate goes to a local club and says, hey, can you endorse me? And then there's usually an endorsement process. The membership of that club or organization will make a vote. That way that candidate can then get that endorsement and then use that to move forward as well. And that is a very light lift, to be able to be engaged in that process. And then you'll see a candidate using the seal of the organization that you're a member of, and it just gives more political clout in that way. That's usually a good starting point for me that I tell people to do, is get involved in a local club or organization, because it doesn't take a lot of work to do so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and that's super helpful. Thank you, Josie. That is, yeah, super helpful. That was all I had to call in to talk about.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to go. I hope you all
All
find
right.
some lovely, I mean, not lovely transphobes to talk to. Have a wonderful
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, you too. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, yeah, that was short and sweet. Yeah.
Muted
Oh, you're
myself because I
muted.
was eating.
Yes.
I never know if it's welcome to give additional like disability oriented advice that's like if you're super low on energy, you can do a graded exercise thing. I've been working my way up to now being in the gym 5 days a week, and it started with buying a little foot pedals thing that lives under my desk and doing like 5 minutes of easy baby warm up, 3 minutes of kind of easy cardio with 2 minutes of rest, and then 3 minutes of kind of easy cardio, and then like a 5 minute super baby slow down. And it's just like that. Okay, that's like 15 minutes of your day, and it starts really easy. So, I mean, if folks are out there and you're feeling like your energy is limited, be careful when you start any exercise program, but you can start a super duper easy graded program like the CHOP protocol. And because I really just don't want to see people accepting a low level of energy as though there's nothing you can possibly do to change it. And when like we know that people are developing dysautonomia and POTS symptoms from COVID
COVID.
infections, and
My
that there
campaign
is
manager has it.
really, damn,
POTS because of COVID.
it's tough. Yeah, I don't
It is tough.
qualify as having POTS because my symptoms are not severe enough. But I'm basically still doing all of the POTS management stuff that you do. And I feel so much better. Like after a few months of doing it, like I feel more mentally present and I'm happier, and the doing the thing makes you feel better. Like, getting stronger and showing yourself that you have the mastery. So yeah, if anybody is out there struggling with like low energy levels, obviously, if you are triggering like a severe illness by exercising, then get checked out for MECFS and take it easy. But for the majority of people, there is a way to get energy back in your life. And exercising, you'll already feel tired and you're like, why would I exercise? It does work. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And I'm glad that you're feeling healthier, that you can now listen to metal as you go to the gym to push out heavy reps. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
big accomplishment. It took a minute to get
Yeah.
here, but you're here, and that's exciting. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I started
Yeah.
in like December, and it takes a few months to start, feeling the effects, but it's just about like consistency.
Yep, absolutely. So Lux, we have two calls in the queue. Which one do you want?
Um, mm, I mean, I'm good with either one.
Either one. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. All right. We'll
I'm
take
making
them
you
as they
work.
came in. All right. Fine. We'll take them as they came in. We have Jordan, she, her from New York. Thanks for calling the Transatlantic Call-In Show. You're live with Lux and Josie. It looks like you have a
Hi.
take about how to deal with the American media and trans rights. Tell us about it.
Yes. So I'm just kind of in the position when just a couple of things have happened in my life and stuff that I've noticed while listening to TACIS that just don't make me have a lot of hope for being able to push for trans rights in this particular media ecosystem. Like, for example, just one of the things that happened to me recently is, like older members of my family, like I get a text from them saying like, how are you feeling about the trans mosque shooters? And, so I have to correct the record on that. And people just seem so completely
Oh, they dropped. Jordan dropped. So sorry, Jordan, you got to call back in.
No.
Yeah.
What happened? Oh no.
Oh no.
That's
It's
rough.
okay. That is rough.
Jordan, if
I
you
didn't
call
hear
back, we'll get you back in.
trans mosque shooter. I haven't heard
Yeah,
that
I
one.
haven't heard about this.
Yeah. All right. So we will go ahead and jump on to Sam, he, him from Wales. Wanted to update Lux about some good news. You are live on the line with Lux and Josie. Tell us about it, Sam. What's the update?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you remember me, Lux?
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't remember unless you refresh me on the contents of the conversation, I might not remember because I memory hole
No.
all of the conversations I have on this show. As soon as I get off of here, I'm like, wow, I'm not thinking about that anymore because I talk to a lot of
No.
assholes. But
It's
refresh me.
totally
What
fine.
was the context?
I asked you about I knew that there was a trans woman in my town, and I didn't know whether to go up to her and ask if she was trans.
Okay, I do think I remember this. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you remember that. It was like I say, it was a year ago now. So, but good
Yeah,
news.
I mean, I think the
I
general
did go-
advice that I gave you was like, hey, you should signal to her that you're a safe person and give her the opportunity to come out, right? Was that like the basic vibe? I think I remember.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I did go up to her. She was walking back from the pub, and I asked her, like, can I ask, are you trans? And she said yes. And so she knows I'm trans now. And now
Hell
every
yeah,
time
dude.
she sees me, she's like, oh, it's you. So she knows me now.
Nice.
Super great.
Listen,
That's so
sometimes
great
it's
to
that
hear.
easy to make friends, you know?
Yeah, that's one of the things she said was like, it's good to know that there's someone else in your community around you.
Yeah.
And then it must have been maybe 2 weeks after that, I went to the pub and I met a guy who is very camp, very gay. I was like, oh, let's sit and have a drink. And
That's great.
he got me into amateur dramatics. So now I'm part of a theatre group.
I love this.
Great.
I love this. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was. I know. How gay can you get?
Yeah. I was gonna say you're like just becoming the stereotype, but in a good way, you know, in a way that we appreciate. I was a theater kid in high school too, so like I think it's the perfect place for queer people.
Yeah.
So was I, and I've not acted at all since now. But yeah, I was
That's so great.
The main role in the pantomime. Say again, sorry.
Oh no,
Did you
that's
just say
wonderful.
you got the main role? You're in the main role?
Oh yeah. I don't want to say where I'm from, but the panto was Puss in Boots, and I was the puss.
Oh wow, cats! Oh, that's so
Work.
cool.
That's very fun.
Cool. Yes, I love that so much. Well, Sam, thank you so much for the update.
Yeah,
That's so
that was
wonderful.
all I was going to say. Is
Yeah.
I found some gay friends, and I'm not the only trans person around here.
Yeah. We
We
never
need to hear
are.
the win. Every once in a while, it's good to just take a moment and be like, okay, it's possible to make friends, and there's lots of people who are in a small town situation who feel isolated, and it's like all you have to do is make one or two connections, and then
Yeah,
boom, you suddenly have a whole community around you, right? Like you made this one connection, and now
yeah,
you have everybody at the theater. Even if they're not all close friends, you're at least like, okay, there's people around me. I've got acquaintances. I've got people I can complain to when I have a bad day at work. And it makes such a huge difference,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
yeah. Genuinely,
Yeah.
and there's a young guy who's just come out as trans in the theatre group, and everyone keeps misgendering him because he's not come out. He doesn't pass, and everyone keeps misgendering him. He even has a little pin with he/him on it, and
Mhm.
everyone keeps
Yeah.
they them, and it's like no, the cowards they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it it's he
Yeah.
him for him, and I've
Yeah.
told him like, no, look, you're not the only trans person around here, but it's just
Yeah.
between me and you. So
Yeah.
he knows
Yeah.
he's not on his own.
Good.
And that's so
Well,
important too. Like I think that people, if you can, something that I've been looking into is I want to try volunteering for a local queer youth organization because it's
Yes,
not just that you need family and you need support. Like there are also people who need mentors. So if you're a trans person who's been out for a few years, like being in a position to be like, hey, I'm gonna support this person as they just come out. Like it's like the giving is a huge part of it too, Sam, right? Like the fact that you can
yeah,
give
yeah,
that
yeah,
positivity to other people. It benefits and enriches you as well as it does benefit that person. And so you're hitting both sides of it. You've got your friends and you're able to be a friend to people who need it.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, when I grew up, I was part of a gay youth group, and that helped me so much. And
Hmm.
what me and my friend that I met, we've been like discussing starting up a gay youth group
That's
because we're
great.
in such a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
for
it's
sure.
difficult because you don't want to necessarily advertise where the gay group is because
Sure.
Mm,
that might be dangerous. But
yeah.
seems like there is a bit of a queer community that just don't have anywhere to go,
Yeah.
and they need a place to go just to come over and talk shit about other people.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
going to maybe sound a little bit weird coming from me, but if there is a church in your community that is progressive leaning, having those kind of meetings at churches can represent like a really safe place for people, even if you're not religious yourself. Like I once went to a drag show in the basement of a church, and it was fucking awesome. It's like it was real down to earth, just a community of 30 people kind of vibes, and it was a great environment and it felt safe and it was comfortable. Um, and I really think that more people need that stuff.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for the
Oh no.
update. And yeah, go on.
Okay. Oh no. I was just not going to interrupt you, but thank you
Oh,
so much for taking my call. I just wanted to
yeah.
update you that things are better.
That's good. They
Oh
always
yeah.
a little bit of time does a phenomenal thing. So I'm happy to hear it. Well, Sam, have a great rest of your day and keep it up. Keep living your best
Yes.
self. All right.
Yes. Thank you both.
Bye.
Bye,
I'm
Sam.
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't have anything to say to you, Josie. But
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. And good luck on the production. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God, we're doing Cluedo. Oh, Clue.
Oh wow, that's
Mm.
great. That's fun. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day, Sam. Bye
Mm,
bye.
brilliant. You too.
All right. Well, that was fun. All right. I see a lot of people with a lot of opinions in these side chats. And it's always funny when trans people are ready to have conversations, the cowards really show up, and you know, let's actually have a conversation. There's some people making some very direct claims. So let's hear them. You know, we always will match your energy, and you know, this is what this show is all about. We've had many conversations with many types of human beings, and you can be one of those people.
Are you looking at the
So
vertical chat? I was
I'm
like,
looking
what?
at, yeah.
Oh,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
that makes more sense.
I do two pop-ups.
Okay,
I popped out both chats.
looking at both of them. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So so we have some very overzealous keyboard warriors that should upgrade themselves and be promoted to actually joining the stream to have a conversation. Tell
Yeah,
us
we
why
would
you
love
think the way you
to.
do.
We would
Yeah,
love to talk to y'all. 720-619-2288. You'll speak with our screener. She's very
yeah.
nice. And then we would love to have a conversation. We want to have productive conversations. So if you come in and you have good points and you're respectful, we can have a productive conversation, even if we differ and even if we end the conversation still having a disagreement. You know, we would love to have that conversation. So I see a few people, beans with bacon soup. That sounds delicious, but you should call in. Doreen, you should call in. Just like, who else am I seeing in here?
Oh, there's so many.
There's so many of you. Listen, if you're not going to call in, like we're not going to argue with you from chat. So if you want to
Nope.
make your point, you should call in. We don't allow debate in the chat because that's not the purpose of the chat, but we want you to call in and have the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be good. I'm excited to have these conversations. And it's your opportunity to actually talk to a trans person instead of the caricature that you see in a meme. So
Exactly.
yeah, it'll be good. So we got Jordan back. Um, she, her from New York. Sorry, you got cut off in the last conversation. You are live on the line
no
again.
worries. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I just start over or?
I would like it if you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'm just things have happened in my personal life regarding, you know, media misinformation, stuff that has gotten to older people in my family, like normal, I would say generally well-informed people, or at least as well-informed as the average American, which is to say not as well as they should be, but, you know, better than some people out there. And I hear from them a lot of the time, just in terms of needing correcting the record on certain trans things. Like the last thing that I brought up before I got dropped was the mosque. How, you know, right-wing media was starting to conflate that as two trans people being behind the attack, and then, you know, I would have some older members of my family call me, or not call me, but text me and say, is this true? Were they actually trans? Are you okay? Are you going to get hurt over this? So, like, people that I know that are decently well-informed and care for me a lot are worried about things that aren't really a problem or don't really exist. There's other things that I can bring up, like, you know, Barry Weiss being in charge of CPS and a million other things. But yeah, I just, you know, I do some light organizing, and I just want to see if there's a way that I could easily, not easily, but as best as I can fight back against that. Even though that, you know, bit of a Sisyphean task.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough task, and you know, the answer that I'm going to give is going to feel very unsatisfactory. It is the question. What I'm going to say is, Jordan, you got to live your best life in spite of all of the negative media. The fact is, the way we won, you know, marriage equality, for example, even though there was still many media trying to say that, you know, queer relationships aren't real love, like that it is disgusting, that it's front against God and all of that. We were still fighting for marriage equality the whole time and showing the community around us that everything that they're seeing on TV isn't actually what's real about the community. And that's what we have to do as trans people as well. We have to show that we are just your neighbors, people that live in the community, people who go to work, people who raise families, people who are in leadership, people just everyday human beings walking and living their lives in community. And that is what's ultimately going to shift public opinion. Unfortunately, we live in a time where the money is trying to funnel itself into negative portrayals of trans community. But when a person that is, you know, a trans person meets a random person and makes friendships and has a good interaction, it completely nullifies all of the millions and billions of dollars that they have spent to try to paint us otherwise. It's just going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time for us to overcome the negative media that it is. So that's what I will say there. Lux, do you want anything to add?
I mean, it does kind of feel like futile sometimes, right? Like, because we are fighting against somebody, like we're fighting against like Chloe Cole, that famous detransitioner, she makes $200,000 a year in her speaking engagements.
Yeah, I know.
She's funded by a literal billionaire oil baron, basically. And so it's like, what do we do? Yeah, we have to have a lot of grassroots conversations. I'm in groups for like local Oregon politics, and I am basically, I really need to stop doing this because it's my free time. But I'm like arguing against people who are like are anti-trans. I'm like, listen, I am a member of your community. Like, if you think I'm mentally ill, wow, it's crazy that you're being hateful toward a mentally ill person. That's a crazy thing to be a dick to someone about. So I'm like, I'm just trying to, I guess, like push back on those things and also raise class solidarity. Like, that's a big thing that I feel like folks are so distracted by the whole trans issue, right? Obviously, this has been manufactured. It wasn't a problem 15 years ago. And so maybe just like focusing on the things that you have in common with your community members, and just basically, like Josie was kind of saying, like, you're a member of your community and you need to show up as a member of your community. And I think that we should also bring back the sort of Gen X, mind your fucking business kind of thing. Like, okay, if you don't have to understand it, and like you need to be able to tolerate people being different and weird around you, right? There's kind of two sides to the fighting for gay marriage thing, where there's like the white gay couple with the two kids and the white picket fence, and we are just normal people like you. And I think there is also a place in the movement for being like, even if you can't relate to these people, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have rights. You know, even if there's like, you know, people at the gay pride parade with the puppy masks and the giant 2 foot tall mohawk punk kind of aesthetic, like spikes all over their clothes, or you know, a bunch of dildos stuck to them. Like, we do need to kind of create a culture of like, you need to be able to deal with people being weird and different in your proximity. Honestly, kind of think that everybody should take public transit for at least a few months of their lives, just to kind of acclimate to the fact that people in public are going to be different than you. And maybe they're going to do things that are a little bit weird. And you just kind of need to be able to deal with that. Because I do think that there is this culture we have of folks, you know, basically wanting to enforce what they think of as normality with policy, you know, with violence, with social rejection, with, you know, defunding of essential programs that help those underprivileged people. And so there's no one right way to do any of this. And I'm not going to say that my way is better. Sometimes you need Matt Dillahunty to tell you you're being a fucking idiot. And sometimes you need somebody like Josie to very carefully and nicely walk you through the logic of the argument, right? So I'm not going to say that the way that you're doing anything, Jordan, is the absolute correct or absolute wrong way. You just kind of have to try different things at different times. And you yourself are going to have different energy levels. There's going to be days where you yourself are like, oh my God, you fucking idiot maggot. Like, there's going to be those days, and sometimes the person needs to hear it, and maybe you'll make them further entrenched in their beliefs by accident. But that's not your responsibility ultimately, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I do what I can for the community. Like I help people get started on like legal name change journeys because like I kind of did it on my own in New York City, and I'm part of like a visibility and organizing group. I've done like call-ins to fight against bills that have come down on the state and federal level. And I don't know, maybe I just need to expand my organizing capabilities and just to feel like I'm doing more for the community, if that makes sense. I don't know, but it's just, when so few of the media outlets are, running stories about, the trans woman that got murdered in that laundry room, it's just like, it just feels like people don't care. But, doing my best to live my life in spite of it, I suppose.
Yeah, and Jordan, like it is easy to fall into the trap thinking that you're not doing enough. Your existence is enough, and that I mean, I cannot like say that enough. Like with all of the queer trans elders that I have spoken to and have the privilege to have spoken to in my life, every time the most common thread amongst all of those incredible treasures that I've had the opportunity to meet all say the existence and visibility of us still being here is the ultimate truth, that we're here forever and we will be accepted if they like it or not. Because at the end of the day, we're still fucking here, and that is what matters more than anything. Because we will always be here regardless of how much hate there is. We will always exist. There is no way to take it away, and that is the ultimate gift of visibility and our theory of change of who we are as people. So you are doing a lot just by existing. So
Right.
just know that, because that's not an easy thing to do in this world, to just exist as who we are fully and happily. And you doing that is a direct defiance to all those that wish you didn't.
Right. I have no plans to stop.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
well,
we're all doing it in solidarity.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of sort of all I had, but
Yeah,
thank you. No, this was good. This was good. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jordan. I appreciate you, and stay safe, okay?
Yeah, will do. Have a good one.
All right. You too. Bye. All
There's
right.
so many people in the chat who I would love to talk to.
I know.
I know. Listen, guys, I know that you're really annoyed that you keep getting muted and your comments keep getting censored. Oh my God, censorship. We don't debate with you from the audience. So if you have something critical to say in the chat, you're probably going to get muted in the chat. Call us 720-619-2288 if you have problems with us. If you have an issue with something we've said, if you don't like trans people, I can't even read all of your comments because there's so many of you getting muted right now.
I know, because they're all children. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like making sure and making sure that, people are saying here that, oh, there's only two genders, or, you shouldn't exist, or blah, 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 blah. Like, hey, call in. Tell us why. Tell us why. It's like, this is the opportunity for you to be like, oh, what you want to argue? What is a woman? Let's do it. Like, like all of the cowardly behind the keyboard stuff is getting old. This is your opportunity to own a trans person in real life, and you can clip it and keep it for yourself. A little gem for you. Yeah. So
we'll hear you out. As long as you're not overtly a jerk, we will hear you out and we will address your claims. And we will do our best to provide evidence to support our position. And listen, if you bring us evidence that invalidates one of our positions, we will have no choice but to update our worldview, because that's like the fundamental ethics that we share on this call-in network. All the hosts basically share this idea that we want our worldview to be as close to the truth and the facts as possible. So if you bring us facts that invalidate our position, we will evaluate that information and update our worldview if necessary. So that's what we're here for. We want to be challenged. We want to answer your questions, and we want to get some calls in here. So
And
listen.
and also I will say this as well is like I'm a political expert. So if you want to tell me and have a conversation about why laws need to be passed for trans people to not have rights, like not
Yeah.
being able to serve in the military or not being able to get health care or the banning of us in public spaces or things like that, that I really want to know your argument on why trans people don't deserve equality under the law.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, and it's not like it's a outlandish idea to discuss. States are trying to pass this type of stuff all over the country right now. So it's not like this isn't contemporary. Like, let's actually have conversations because
Yeah.
it's really, I want to know where your head's at on these type of situations.
Yeah. And listen, if y'all are just hanging out, we only have about 300 viewers on the vertical and the horizontal. I would love to see those numbers get higher. So if you are feeling generous with your clicks and your pokes on your screen, click the like button. If you're watching us on mobile, you can just boop, boop, double tap your screen. You can click share and then copy the link. And as far as YouTube is concerned, that is a benefit for us. You can hit the little hearts on the chat if you want to, or send us a message or respond to the poll in chat. Any interaction you can give us is going to be a benefit, and it will help boost us out to the algorithm to get this message out to more people, to get more calls in here, and all that jazz. Can we talk about the poll? Because I
Yes.
want
Oh
to
my
make
gosh,
sure.
we forgot to bring that back up. Let's go back to the poll.
I want to make sure that we get this conversation out there because, okay, so we're asking, have you or anyone you know in the chat been a victim of specifically a violent anti-trans hate crime? The majority of you have said no, 53% in the chat right now. If you want to tell your story or anything, you're also welcome to go to our posts tab or community tab. I can't remember what it's called on our YouTube channel. There will be another version of this poll that you can actually type your comments in the chat and add some detail. And we left the option, if you don't know any trans people, you can also click that one. But the reason why we're discussing this is because people in this chat might not know of them, because we have been intending to have this person come on and do a show with us, but we hadn't had the opportunity to arrange it yet with the scheduling and timing and everything. But how do I describe Jay? Jay is a transgender geneticist, Jay McCrite, who has been a member of the atheist community for a really long time. Like, I want to say like 15, it was like 15 years ago that I remember reading Jay's blog about Atheism Plus. So, all of this social justice warrior stuff, this was way back in the day. So Jay has been a beloved friend and member of the community for a very long time. Several of us here on the line know him and really love and appreciate him. And he was a victim of a violent hate crime. And there is a GoFundMe. I know Arden put the link to the GoFundMe up earlier in the chat. We'll try to put it up again because basically someone recognized him in public and asked like, "Hey, are you Jay?" And Jay was like, "Yeah, that's me," because he's a public speaker. He is, kind of an activist at this point for trans rights, coming from that position of being a professional, who knows about biology and genetics and these things. So he's going to make a full recovery, but he is going to be out of work for like 8 weeks. And the last I checked has been staying in an Airbnb because there's some concern about returning to his apartment. And yeah, this is the reality that trans people have to live with right now. It's very scary, especially as we are content creators. Like we're putting our faces out there and we're saying, "Hey, I'm trans," and we're going to, make these arguments and everything. So it's very personal whenever anyone in the trans community is a victim of a hate crime. Like we just were discussing, the woman who was stabbed to death in a laundry room. There are suicides, like the ACLU lawsuit in Idaho regarding their law about trans bathrooms in schools. The plaintiff killed himself, and so the lawsuit has been dropped. Like it's a problem across the country right now, and it hits really hard when we know that not only what we do can get us targeted, but simply being who we are will get us targeted. And so, yeah, Jay, is a beloved member of the community, and we would love it if y'all would help us in supporting him. And we will eventually get him on the show so that you can get to know him more personally. He's really fun, a really bright, like loving person who's a very active member of the trans community. And yeah, would love to get some more attention and focus on that since everything is so scary right now, and people who are not in the trans community don't seem to have a grasp on what the actual problem is, right? Like when you argue with people, they want to talk about fucking sports and bathrooms, and like trans people are getting murdered and hate crimed in public, like on the sidewalk for being trans. So yeah, let me double check and get that link in the chat. Make sure that y'all can contribute if you would like to help cover Jay's medical costs and everything that he's dealing with right now.
Yep. And it would piss off the transphobes that are constantly in the vertical chat to be like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We watch us serve our community in action.
Yeah.
Nobody would be donating to your ass if you guys.
Listen, if y'all want to argue that trans people are not being uniquely targeted, if you want to argue that it's not even possible to commit a hate crime, or that someone like Jay deserved it, I'm ready to throw fucking down with you right now, because I was trying to do couples therapy with my husband yesterday, and instead I cried about this because I had been putting off dealing with it since I heard about it last week.
Well, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, there's a lot of accidental allies for you in this chat for you. Like these accidental allies all over the place. I didn't realize so many of you assholes were actually very affirming. It's very kind of you.
It happens on Calling It Now every week. So now that we're doing vertical for TACIS, we're getting it here too. And it's really funny.
Exactly. Yeah, it is funny.
You'll never be a woman. Thanks, babe.
All right, so it looks like we got a special call in from the devil himself. Goes by Dylan, he, him, 24 from so from hell. Hi Dylan, how are you? Have you figured out if you're the devil or not? You're live on the line with Lux and Josie.
No, I'm not the devil himself. Lucifer is actually the god of the world. I'm a man.
Oh, wait, is Lucifer not a man? I knew it. I thought he was an man. I thought he was a literal dude, but he's not a man.
He's a literal dude, but he's also the god of the world.
But you said he's a man, though, right?
He's a man.
Okay, so you just said you're a man, so you still haven't beat the claim that you're not the devil.
True.
Nah.
Hi, Dylan. How are you? I had to rib you a little bit since our last call last week.
I heard it was a doozy.
it was a doozy. So, all right, Dylan, let's actually get to the argument here. Why do you think that there's only man and woman?
I have a wife, and she's like totally in love with Christ. I believe that everybody needs Jesus, that we don't need to.
No, you didn't answer my question. Dylan, you didn't answer my question. Why do you
fucking time with this?
Yeah, Dylan, I'm asking you a direct question. Why do you think there's only man and women?
I have a wife, and she's a woman. I'm a man.
Okay, great.
I don't care about your wife.
Yeah. So Dylan, do you believe that there's a difference between sex and gender?
I believe that my wife is a woman, that I'm a man, and that.
Okay, I'm not claiming that you are not a man and your wife is not a woman. I'm asking you if there's a difference between sex and gender.
I believe that everybody needs Jesus, not to change gender.
No, you're not answering my question, Dylan. Is there a difference between sex and gender?
That's a trap question.
Is it a trap question?
It's just a question.
Okay.
You can just say no, and that's okay. Like, if that's what you believe, do you not have an opinion on the subject? Like,
okay, my opinion on this, okay. You were calling me like the devil himself. What the devil himself here would say is that you're tricking me into confessing that what sex and gender is a social construct. Because if I agree with you, remember, the devil is the god of the world. So he knows about how
Sex
the
is
world...
not sex is not a social construct, or gender is.
Dude, the devil is fake and you're fucking literally mentally ill and delusional. Why do I give a shit about the devil? Can you shut the fuck up about the devil? Nobody fucking cares. We don't believe in souls. We don't believe in the devil. It has absolutely no bearing on the conversation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Can you have a real conversation about things that are real and actually fucking matter, Dylan?
Okay, Corinthians 4:4 says that...
Don't care what the Bible says. I don't care. The Bible is fake. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, Dylan, can you come up with an argument that isn't based in like
Can you answer
scripture?
the questions that we're asking, like, at all? Or are you going to just do this thing where we ask a question and then you just say whatever's on your script because you're not here to have a conversation? You're just here to repeat dumb fucking shit. Every fucking time,
No,
Dylan.
But every time that I go to answer your question, I don't have time to explain because I get cut off.
We have time. We have time, Dylan. The reason you're getting cut off is because you're not answering the question in the way that I'm asking it very simply. If you do not believe gender is a social construct, tell me why that is not based in scripture.
It's a trap question.
How is it a trap question?
Okay, the world belongs to the devil and he knows how the world works. So what you're trying to get me to do...
I don't care about the devil. The devil is fake.
Hold on, Dylan. It's not that I don't want you to finish the question. It's just that, wouldn't it be annoying if you asked me, hey, what time is it? And I'm like, well, the devil is the person that understands the world and is the time. So the time is whatever the devil says it is. Does that help you know what time it is?
What helps me is my wife, which is a woman.
So you're going to ask your wife what time it is instead of knowing what time it is yourself?
Yeah. Like my wife.
So
is my
you don't know how to tell time.
Just like God made us. My wife is my helper and she's a woman.
All right. Dylan, so you got it. You it seems like you're just trolling us and you're like at a point where you're just like on the same scroll. You continue to say, it's like, I asked you a very simple question about the fact that the way that you're answering the question is very aggravating, because I ask you a question and you're like, the devil is the god of the world. And now you're just saying, well, my wife will tell me what time it is. Like, that doesn't answer the question. Do you think that if you are having a conversation with the real world and you ask somebody like basic, like, what is the weather going to be tomorrow? And you're like, well, the devil is the person of the world, or I'll just ask my wife. That is not answering the question, Dylan. That's why it's very aggravating to have a conversation, because you just point to the devil, you point to the Bible, you point to your wife, which is also weird. But do you understand what I mean?
Everybody who's pooping their pants in the comments, by the way, I have spoken to Dylan like 11 times, and he is like this every time. So he's being deliberately an asshole, and I'm fucking tired of it. It's so obvious that you're not here to have an actual conversation. You're just a pants pooper, as evidenced by the lower third.
Are you guys the voice of God?
Arden is today.
Wait, say that again?
Well, so first off, I am not convinced that there is a voice of God, because there is no proof to me that there is a God. So for me, why is that relevant to the conversation about the fact that trans people have the right to exist?
You said sure, that like you're the voice of God.
Yeah, why not? I have just as much evidence of that than you do.
And I know that there's only like, I know that Jesus made us a man and woman.
What does that have to do with the fact that trans people have the right to exist?
Like from heaven.
So you
Jesus came from heaven. So
but that's your opinion. I'm talking about, why does that have anything to do with the right for trans people to exist? First off, do you believe that trans people exist? Do you believe that trans people exist?
My wife has the right to exist.
She has. I never said that she doesn't. I'm asking you a direct question. Is your wife trans?
What could make my wife
Is your
not a
wife
woman?
trans? Is your wife trans?
What could make my wife a woman? Oh, what could make my wife a
you
man?
are you just one of those chat GPT voices? You're actually worse at answering questions than chat GPT is.
Yeah, so is your wife trans?
What could make my wife a man? What can make my wife a man?
Is she trans is a yes or no question. You're
a
literally
trap
incapable of answering yes or no questions. Is a
No,
yes
it's
or
a
no
trap
question a
question.
trap?
Because if I
Is it a
agree
trap?
with you, then I
Is
enter
it?
the world
Is
of
she
like
trans?
what
Is
you
she?
believe, which is that
Is the answer
like my
yes?
wife. What could make my wife a man?
Is
when
the
she
answer
says
yes?
she is.
It's a trap question. Again, it's a trap question. Because if
It's not.
answer
It's
you,
not. It's literally,
according to
Dylan,
what you're
not
saying,
every listen,
I'll
we're just trying to have a fucking conversation and you're fundamentally incapable of doing it. Just answer a yes or no question with the yes or no. Are you capable of
It's a
having a
trap
conversation?
question.
Have you ever spoken to another person before today?
Okay, answer my question, and I'll answer your question. What could make my wife a man?
No, because you refuse to answer a question. We're not doing this pivot, put us on the defense. You have been asked multiple direct questions and you refuse to answer them. Answer our questions or I'm going to drop you. I'm so tired of you.
Yeah.
Is your wife trans?
All right, let's drop him. I'm dropping him. I'm sorry. The entertainment value of
Plummeting
is just not even. It's not even worth it at this point. Like,
if you think you can have a more productive conversation than Dylan, give us a call.
yeah. Why? Look, chat. Like the people who think that we didn't give Dylan a chance. You're not sending your best. All right. Like, let's actually have a conversation. Like, if you know anything about this show, we've had many productive conversations with people who have fundamental points of view that are diametrically opposed to even our existence, and we've had
with
great conversations.
Dylan, we've had more productive conversations in the past.
Like it's just bonkers. Like, it's absolutely bonkers, and it's like it's just not productive. Like, because there's like so much wrapped into the conversation about like, oh, the scripture, God, blah blah. It's like that's not even a productive, like, fun conversation to explore, because it's always about God created this or the devil's the god of the world and all this type of stuff. It's like that's just like your opinion. Like, it doesn't actually hit the real world realities that trans people deserve the rights to exist, and trans people do exist, and people deserve human rights regardless of how they show up. Like, that's how it works. Like, it's very simple and has nothing to do with whatever dialogue tree Dylan was on, and it's just incredibly aggravating. So anyways, we're gonna take a very short palate cleanser advice call here. We're gonna take Aiden, he him 21 from Oregon, wants advice about clothing.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi. Going well. Sorry, we came in a little hot and annoyed, so I wanted to talk to somebody that has a genuine
palate cleanser.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us about it. What do you need?
I got a code switch too. Yeah, so I'm calling in because I think that I might be gender fluid, and I'm not sure exactly how. I've tried to explore like my gender presentation in the past. I didn't really like how feminine clothes looked on my male body, but I want to give it a shot again, and I will. And I'm sorry if I like stumble with my words a bit. I'm finding some nasty OCD that's trying to convince me that I'm a little bit of a creep for talking about this. It's not founded in anything, but like I like both of your styles a lot, and I would love to wear like very similar clothes. And so I'm just curious kind of how you guys found that, and, you know.
Yeah.
I just feel lost. I'm totally lost.
Yeah, for sure. I can go how I did it, and then Lux can explain how it did it. So what I did is first I had a lot because I'm very feminine presenting personally. So I had a lot of friends that I had who had too many clothes in their closet, and they're like, "Come on over," and they gave me trash bags worth of clothes because they were like, "Oh, this is a perfect way for me to clean out my closet." And I just had so many clothes, mountains and mountains of like trash bags and donated clothes from friends that I had that I ended up just trying on, and then I had the ability. And what was nice about that, it was free, which was super nice. So I had the opportunity to try all different styles. And then once I started to narrow in what I really liked, I use an app called ThreadUp. ThreadUp is it's wonderful because you don't actually have to go to a thrift store yourself. You can actually just go and shop online. You put in your sizes, and you can just get really affordable clothing at a very reduced rate in cost. And and if you don't like it, you can send it back and send other things back, and they give you credits. And if they sell your items, then you actually get money back. So it's actually a really cool thrift consignment store. I use it a lot.
That's
In fact,
cool.
a lot of my wardrobes are from that. And it's like, and for me, it's like I'm getting like quality like clothing too. Like I actually get a lot of brands that from there and really great dresses. It's really nice for me as a candidate to shop on a budget and get really nice like high quality professional clothing as well. But they have everything. So I would definitely look into ThreadUp. Lux, what about you?
I when I went to Salem Capitol Pride last year, there was a pavilion there where they were doing basically like you could come and just take 3 items of clothing and they maintain that clothing swap. I think they work with a church. And I was just thinking about this earlier today, actually, that I can't remember the information, but I Googled trans clothing swap Salem Pride, and there is an Instagram account of somebody that did like they have a June clothes swap coming up soon. Um, just like I don't know what this account is on Instagram, and Instagram doesn't like to work on my computer very much. The Mosaic Trust is the Instagram account. So, just looking up like queer clothing swap, trans clothing swap in your community, or
Sure.
if you go to Salem Pride later in the year, it's not until September for some reason. But it's much cooler than it is at the height of summer. In some ways, it's kind of nicer in September. So, yeah, I would just recommend, getting in touch with some local groups. And, if you don't have a robust community around you, if you're in the Portland area, I'm sure that there's LGBTQ organizations and folks
Oh
who
yeah,
are
and
trying
and
to
the
clean out their
Beaverton.
closets. Oh yeah, sure, yeah. So yeah, I'm sure that there's plenty of things in the Portland area specifically as well. Um, so yeah, that's what I would recommend basically is like look for clothing swap or something along those lines. And there's all kinds of folks who are giving them away. Obviously, I would recommend thrifting and don't, yeah, I would say, try to get a good variety of things and then spend a day just kind of like mixing and matching, or if you don't really like the way that this thing looks on you, try like getting a belt to wear around your like high on your waist and see if that makes the shirt kind of
Okay.
fit different on you. Try different colors. It'll take a while before you can kind of get a sense of like what style you're trying to convey, and that will be a series of trial and error possibly where maybe you're like, oh, that outfit in retrospect didn't really work out or wasn't really my style. So I've kind of settled into a vaguely forest goth witch vibe. So I'm doing like layers and asymmetric cuts of clothing and introducing some small accessories to kind of create a different visual balance. So, just learning about the quote unquote rules of fashion, or learning more even about other seemingly unrelated stuff, like what makes a room aesthetically pleasing in your home, right? So like having things at different heights along the wall and having a focused amount of light in this part of the room. And so, yeah, it's like thinking of that same way, like how can I highlight or draw attention away from things that maybe are problematic for you. So maybe you don't want to wear spaghetti straps because that makes your shoulders look too broad, or some trans men want to avoid a suit with a deep V cut in the front because that visually makes your chest look bigger, and that can be problematic for transmasculine people who haven't had top surgery. So there's just like lots of little stuff like that, and people have made videos on YouTube as well that are kind of explaining transmasc fashion or trans feminine fashion. How do I, draw attention to this or take attention away from that? So I would just say have fun with it too. Like, don't treat it like an assignment. Yeah, treat it like an opportunity to learn stuff and explore and get in touch with yourself and make dress go spinny and all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Yeah. For me, like the hardest part is that like I have a lot of trans people in my life, family and friends, both. So I have people to talk to about all these things and to give me advice. But I feel very weird about it because I don't really want to like. There are some days where I'm fine with my masculine style and my masculine body, and then other days where I'm not. And if I were to describe my gender, I would say it's kind of like how Loki is portrayed in Marvel Comics. I just want to shapeshift back and forth. I don't want to commit.
Relatable content, I don't know for sure.
How that applies in like a practical way. Like I can't have like 2 sets of clothing, or I can't afford it, and I don't have the space to have 2 sets of clothing. I would like to I just don't like often how the feminine clothes look on my body because I don't have because I'm still very like rectangular, so when I wear masculine clothes, I'm like, cool, this works. And then it's like I want to wear feminine clothes, when I put them on, I'm like, no, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Try skater dresses.
Afterwards. I'm like,
skater dresses, A-line dresses, skater dresses, and A-line dresses. Those are the ones that will definitely help you have more of a figure on you. It's definitely something that has helped me, especially early in my transition. So like that particular cut is really, really good. Just to let you know.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about too. If you put a belt around your waist, like around your belly button, not low down on your hips, but around your belly button, that it'll basically create like more space above and below that belt, which will kind of give the impression of like, an hourglass sort of figure basically. So you can get something baggy, cinch a belt around your waist, and then kind of pull the shirt or the dress up and give it like some like bagginess, I guess, around your chest area, and that kind of changes your shape. But also don't skip over accessorizing. You can take your regular outfits and just add a little pop of color, or paint the fingernails, or get necklaces or bracelets or jewelry. So instead of just like completely changing your closet, you can incorporate a small thing like, ooh, this is a colorful scarf or something like that. My cishet partner absolutely loves that. He stole my rainbow scarf, and that's just his scarf during the winter now. He's a weird guy, but we love him. So just there's all kinds of different ways that you can take this, and don't overlook the power that accessorizing can have.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah. And, I've never, my parents didn't really raise me with strict, like, kind of gender expectations. So, I'm already kind of comfortable. Like, I wear some articles of, like, jewelry and stuff like that. Like, I'm not super, like, I'm not resistant to, like, how do I explain this? Like, I'm already, like, I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, I don't have that barrier.
Yeah. So have fun with it,
Yeah, definitely.
And you can dive all the way in, or you can dip your toes in and see what makes you feel happy. And and don't underestimate the power of having a good trans community around you who can be like, that looks good on you, or this is drawing attention to this. And like, you can absolutely tap into that local community. And I'm so glad that you have that as an option. And I'm sure that there's going to be trans people, who are like, ooh, yeah, I filled out my wardrobe with all of this early in my transition, but it's not really working for me now. I'll get rid of it. Or they're transitioning and want to get rid of all their old clothes. I think that's definitely something you want to tap into.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you, Aiden, for the call. Oh, I think Aiden dropped on their own.
Okay, Colin Studio is being all kind of crazy today. Sorry, Aiden, we did not hang up on you. Sorry.
Sorry,
Studio.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so it looks like we do have some more interesting calls that came in. I'm thinking the last one on the list, or also the one in the middle of the list. What do you think?
I'm sorry, she just walked past me, and I'm
That's a
like,
new one.
baby, I mean, you made a mistake. You walked close to me while I was dreaming. Oh, baby.
Oh no.
She's a good girl. We've had her for over 3 months now.
Oh,
3
this is a
months
new
now.
girl.
Yeah. Okay, I put you down now. You're such a good girl. I just aggressively gender my cat all the time.
Yeah,
I'm
of
like, what a
course.
princess, what my little angel.
Oh my gosh, you're the worst. No, it's fine. So we have two calls that came in. Which one would you want, the last one or the one in the middle?
I would say let's go with 40, number 40.
Okay, let's go. All right, so we are going to take in Will, him from North Carolina. You are live on the line with Lux and Josie. You want to talk about confusion around the difference between sex and gender. So let's talk about it.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. And you'll have to forgive me. I'm not very used to having conversations on this topic, so pardon any ignorance. But the main confusion that I have, I only recently got into even just trying to find the difference between sex and gender, and I think I have an understanding of it, but I'm more confused on what actualizes gender, if that makes sense. If the gender label that someone has is it only what they say it is, or is it does it fall under a collection of attributes and behaviors, and that determines what gender is, or is it a little bit of both? And that's the main question I would say that I have regarding gender. So I'd be curious to hear your response to that.
So this is actually a really interesting and fairly advanced area of gender philosophy. Judith Butler has written about this, and I need to add some of their books to my my audiobook list that I have right now. But basically it's there is sort of this question of, is it the moment that you realize that you're trans? Are you a woman functionally, or do you kind of become a woman through the act of performance? When you socially integrate, or when people reflexively see you as a woman. So it's there's different axis of this, right? I want to recognize the internal reality of the person who has just come to terms with their gender. And I want to honor and respect that as much as possible. And I want to reduce the amount of harm that they experience when they're going through that very sensitive time, right? So I'm going to go out of my way to be accepting of a trans person who's just come out and hasn't initiated transition. In a societal sense, society is not going to grant you womanhood. It's like the idea of being cool. Who decides what coolness is? It's kind of a vibe, right? But it also differs from person to person. What if you're cool according to your friends who you play tennis with, but you're very uncool to your teenager? There's different thresholds of social acceptance. And so if you adhere rigidly to performance theory, then you aren't really a woman until society accepts you as a woman, right? But I guess it just sort of depends on what angle you come at it from. I think that the internal reality of identifying as a different gender is very significant and is an integral part of becoming that in a performance theory sense. So there's not really a clean answer to this, because it's, like I said, this is high level gender philosophy stuff, and we can opine over it, but I don't think that there's one right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Will, please. I would like to hear
okay, I was just going to say that, yeah, I know that it's not, and I completely agree with, just basic human decency and being respectful. And so that would be my my default stance would be to just like affirm whatever someone is currently comfortable with. I think I might have been, like, I feel like what I'm trying to do, because like just the way that I understand things is like apply some kind of science to gender, and because I know that there's like you have men that are like more feminine or women that are more masculine. I know that that's all a spectrum. So I guess I was just trying to figure out like if there was like some collection of masculine and feminine attributes that could like come together, and this determines if you're male or female.
Sure. So I will say there are like scientific explanations of like how people perceive their gender. There are studies that involve people who are like in MRI machines where they see an image, and that image has their face on it, and then they transition it to either like the sex sign at birth or more feminine qualities, and the brain will actually light up when the person's gender identity is matching what they feel themselves to be. So there is some science that shows that gender has a very intense quality of how we react to our own selves when we see ourselves. So that there is that science there. But what essentially the idea of like the social science of it all, of how we categorize people in like the cluster categories that we have, like for example, when we think of like a woman, it is a social deterministic thing of like how we see women in the world, and that's all internalized, and it's like a schema of many things that happen. So like if we were in India, for example, our view of what a woman would look like and be perceived as in social roles is different from where you would see here in the United States or any other place in regionally in the world. So the idea of like femininity or womanhood in that sense has a very cultural connection, and that's not really as biological, right? Like the idea that people are wearing different clothing in different regions of the world is not biological, it's more cultural. So for me, when I think about sex and gender, the difference between the two is very significant, because we know that sex is like the characteristics that we are born with, and the phenotypes that we have is like a little more rigid, but also a little fluid depending on different conditions and ways that people are born. But generally, on a bimodal scale, most people present as like a male or a female, but there is some things that are in between in those cluster categories. The reason it's important to separate gender and sex is because gender is more of the social construction of how we expect to be treated in the roles that we identify with in society itself. So for example, biology has really very little bearing on the fact that if you are interacting with somebody in society, you would interact with how they are presenting in front of you for you to make that determination. You wouldn't tap their genitals to make sure, right? That's why there is such a deep difference between sex and gender. And so for me, I go deep into the gendered idea, because it's the gendered idea that is what give people the human rights to be able to live and move through the world. And so I'll posit this question to you. Do some coconut trees have coconuts and some coconut trees don't? Is that a logical statement?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. So this is a logical test, right? This is why I do this. If sex and gender are different, some women have penises and some women don't. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Okay. Because woman is the gender, and the penis in this example is the sex. Does that make sense?
So like the coconut, so like the coconut tree would be like the woman in this example, and
Yes.
then the coconuts. Yeah, I think I get it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I'm not trying to say that trans women are analogous or women are analogous with coconut trees. It's just a logical test to show the difference between the two, sex and gender. And going into the understanding of sex and gender even more and categorically, right, is like a black woman, a red-haired woman, a trans woman, and a cis woman are all types of women, correct?
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Okay, so because we have the categorization of the idea of, the woman types of women, that allows us to be able to kind of say, okay, there is the gender of woman regardless of how they show up. As long as they're women, they're in that category of women. And so that is how like socially deterministic gender is, because regardless of the biological markers of those things of how a human shows up, the woman is just the gender of who they are, because it would be a very strange world if every time you walked into a bathroom somebody had to do a genital test or tap your genitals to make sure that you're walking into the right bathroom, because society can't actually work that way. And if it did, we would have to have like gender police at every bathroom and every short stop in the country, because that would be so silly to have that level of rigidity. That's why there's a major difference between sex and gender, because if sex and gender were the same, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but if sex and gender were the same, then it would be very easy to deterministically look at somebody and say, okay, that is either a female or a male. Where in real life nobody is going around tapping people's genitals to make sure who they're talking to is who they say they are. And so and then just the final point on the science part of it, like the gender identity in someone is something you can't just like put your finger on, because of the fact that it's the same way with sexual orientation. We can't find the gay part of our brains and then say, oh yep, they're gay. We also can't do that for your favorite flavored ice cream either. So there is an internal sense inside of us that is part of our psyche and who we are as people that determine who we are. And we just have to, take people's word for it, because I can't prove that you love chocolate no matter how much chocolate you eat or how much vanilla you eat. If you tell me your favorite flavor is chocolate and you don't want chocolate right now because you feel like vanilla, does not mean that I don't believe that you like chocolate, right? So the idea behind it all is all very self-deterministic, because we do that for people's religious belief. We just have to take the word for it. If somebody says they're Christian, we have to just say, okay, I guess you're Christian. Like somebody says they're gay, it doesn't matter if they're, how many dudes does a guy have to kiss before he can prove he's gay? There, you would just have to take that word for it, right? So it is internal that way, and that's why it's very important to separate sex and gender. I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but I would love your thoughts.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I think going back to the coconut tree thing, and I think this ties back into what you're saying. I feel like the confusion, like the popular confusion, and also the confusion that I have as well with understanding, like sex and gender, I think has to do with that. It seems like most people, like who really attack this like ideology a lot, if you can call it an ideology, they say that like what defines a coconut tree is like a tree that is like of the nature to like bear coconuts. And so for them, it seems like what would be the gender of the coconut tree would just be like if it is able to grow coconuts, rather than like does it have coconuts. And I think that's what used to confuse me, because I didn't really, well, it still confuses me. Like I'm not sure how that would be wrong, if that makes sense. Like yeah, what would your like thoughts be on that?
Yeah. So again, like I said, it's more of the logical test rather than like the nature of the coconut tree itself is really because, there are different, conversations about that, but really it's the idea that the gender that someone has is doesn't matter if they have um the phenotypical things that they have associated with it, because in a sense, like, the coconut tree is still going to be a tree regardless if they have coconuts or not. It's the idea of the woman can be a woman regardless if they have a penis or not. And so it's a very elementary way of looking at this topic, of the idea that the gender of a person does not change based on their particular body parts that they have. And that's the point of the test, is to really show the difference between sex and gender in a way that is very clear, because a lot of people like to conflate sex and gender a lot, which usually breaks down the conversation, because essentially what happens is we talk past each other. So for example, on many calls that we've had on this show, for example, people will say a woman is an adult human female. Well, that's just saying it's sex with the extra steps, right? Like, it's like, oh, it's like, because they still involve the word female in the word gender, so therefore it's still using sex as a form to identify a gender, which is a very confusing way to have a conversation with someone if you have the understanding that gender is about the self-identity and the self-understanding of who someone is, rather than what they were assigned who they were. And so that's kind of why we do that conversation, and why I personally ask that question about the logical test between some women have penises and some women don't, because it allows us to have a more intellectual, deeper conversation of the nuances of gender and sex, and actually having the conversations of why someone may identify as a woman even though they were assigned male at birth, like myself. It's easier for me to have that conversation when we separate sex and gender, which most people in society do on a daily basis anyway. And so once we're able to separate that and actually have the argument on equal ground, it allows us to have a deeper intellectual conversation about human identity in general. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just another question related to, like, I guess, kind of comparing sex and gender. When you, like, earlier, when you would say something like something between male and female, whenever I hear that, I'm not exactly sure if what the person is saying is that we're talking about, like, a gender that is, like, just some strict mixture of male and female. Like, it's, if you could imagine, like a slider value going between, like, one, like, the male end of the spectrum versus, like, the female end of the spectrum. Or is gender, are there, like, traits or attributes of a gender that are, like, neither male nor female? Or are we still kind of, like, sticking to, like, male and female is, like, the base of what we're working with, and gender is just, like, everything in between, or any combination of both of them?
Well, I mean, I think that's maybe the sticking point, is that we don't say male and female when we're talking about gender typically. Um, like, yeah, we all agree that biologically speaking, human beings can be categorized broadly as a sexually dimorphic species with a 2+% variation on that with intersex traits, right? And so gender is like, obviously there's a large correlation for a lot of people, like that people typically who are male identify as men, but there is enough distinction, and that the definition of what it means to be a man changes between cultures and over time. Like, our current conception of a man would probably not include somebody who wears a wig and tights and high heels and faints, but that was like the height of upper class masculinity when this country was founded. So, like, that's what we're trying to talk about when we're creating a distinction between sex and gender, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that actually. So, and sorry, this is what I was talking about excuse my ignorance earlier. I actually didn't know the difference between man and male. I didn't know there was one, so that actually gave me some clarity there. So thanks for that.
Well, let me ask you a question directly, Will. Are you a man?
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Why?
But I would go by.
Why?
That's a interesting question. I never thought to ask myself that. I mean,
exactly.
I guess, yeah. It's like, I hope this isn't like a cop-out answer, but it's for me. It's just like I've kind of just gone with the flow of society, like how people identify me, and then that just so happens to be something that I'm comfortable with. So I suppose that would be my like surface level answer. I don't know if
because it doesn't have anything to do with your penis, right? Nobody like it is purely based on your comfortability of how you present in society's way of seeing you. So therefore that's what the idea of being cis, right? When you're cis and you are assigned male at birth and you also present masculine and identify as a man, society's pretty simple to it, right? You don't even have to think about why you're a man, right? Because it's the idea is you just are, right? Like the idea of someone asking you why you're a man is not something that's very common to somebody who is cis. When a trans person like myself, when I say I'm a woman, I have to continually prove why I'm a woman, and it should be just as simple as you just said it. It's because I am a woman. I'm comfortable being a woman and being seen in society as a woman. So that's really kind of what it is. It's a very like thing that is inside of who I am, because being a woman is what I am, just like being a man is what you are. There is no feeling to it, right? It just is, right? Because the idea of you not being a man is kind of like foreign to you, right?
Yeah, I think this is why I was confused earlier about how there are some people who are like male or female, but they have like more masculine or more feminine traits. And when I was talking about like kind of trying to pin down gender, I understand that it's a more complicated topic, so I'll definitely have to look more into that. But I suppose like what I was really trying to like the problem I was trying to solve is like when is a more feminine male just a male with more feminine traits versus like now we would call them a woman, but
so
I guess
it's their self-determination.
So Will, this is very, I'm gonna say it this way. So humans encompass many different traits and identities inside of themselves. So you would say sexual orientation, like who you're attracted to gender-wise. You have gender identity. You have sex. Sex is the biological thing. You have gender expression, which is how you present feminine or masculine and anything in between and around. And then you also have, in my opinion, relationship configuration. So, 0 to many partners, right? A lot of people are only like one partner. Some people like multiple. Some people want 0. Those are all individual things that are inside of us. So when you are a man, when you identify as a man, but wear dresses and, be as feminine as possible. A femboy, for example, there are many men who identify as femboys who are just very feminine and love makeup and wear dresses, but they still identify as men. And there's also on the other side of the spectrum, women who identify very masculine, where they're as masculine can get, from the clothes they wear to the things they like to, all of that stuff. So like the person's gender expression can be different from somebody's gender identity. The person, if you see somebody who is a feminine man and you were to ask them what's your gender identity, they're going to be like, I'm a guy, right? And they just have a very feminine presentation, right? It's up to the person themselves, not the society around them that forces them into the box. So it's like if the person is, a butch woman, then so she's a butch woman. If somebody's a femboy, then they're a femboy. And that has nothing to do with their gender identity based other than the fact that they identify as a certain gender and fall somewhere on the spectrums. Just like for you, so Will, do you present more masculine or feminine or more androgynous? How do you how do you genderly express yourself?
I would say more masculine from what I can tell.
Yeah. So again, and let me ask, are you straight?
Yeah.
And are you monogamous?
Yeah.
And were you born a male?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me to be accurate about you, I'd say Will is a straight man who was born as a male that is monogamous and is straight. And that is a very detailed description about who you are and what your identity is. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's all like when you talk about queer theory and identity of human and people, it is just a more detailed way of explaining somebody's lived experience. And it's easier to categorize somebody in that way than to just say you're a man, you're a woman, there's nothing else in between. And no, it makes it very rigid, and it doesn't really identify the tapestry of the differences of humanity. Because if everybody in humanity fit in two boxes, it would be a pretty boring world. I have said this in the show. It's like humanity is a beautiful tapestry of many colors and textures that are different, and that's what makes humanity so beautiful. Is that splash of color that all people bring to that tapestry? Because if it was just all one or the other, it would be a very bland world to live in. So that's why I personally adopt the idea of understanding human experience in much more facets than just the rigidity of how other folks like to define humanity.
I see. So I guess what I'm taking from that is that it seems to be that you're saying that like gender identity, like what you personally identify as, should always like take preference over gender expression. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
just like you
to
would
me
respect
because
a
I didn't
tomboy.
actually know. I'm sorry.
Right. Just like you would respect a masculine presenting woman, right? If a woman says they're a woman and they're masculine, you'd be like, you wouldn't question that, would you?
No, I wouldn't feel inclined to.
Yeah. So that's the same. It's the same type of thing, right? It's just, you just take the fact that they're a woman. You wouldn't call them a man just because they're dressed like a man.
Yeah. I think like that also goes back to like I never have a problem like accepting people's terms. I might not fully like understand what's happening, which is like why I'm calling in, and this is this is really great. But I think like a big issue, at least that I've seen a lot of people have, and I don't really have this like this problem with this, but I also have a hard time like defending it, or have like finding a counter argument to it, which is that like a lot of people seem to have issue with there being okay, well if gender identity is just like whatever the person feels like, could they just like be anything, like call themselves anything, and then they are that thing, and like does that lead into are they like delusional? And I don't tend to subscribe to that whole depiction of gender identity, but I also have a hard time counter arguing it. Like if someone is suffering through some kind of like I don't like, not in a disrespectful way, but like delusion or like illness, like how would we differentiate that from like just a very abnormal like gender identity?
Well, people can lie, right? Like like if you told me you were a sports fan, there would be no way for me to be able to like disprove or prove that you're a sports fan of any particular sports or sports team. Same thing with somebody could lie about their favorite ice cream. People can lie about a lot of different things. But it's not very common. Right. It's not a common thing that we run across in society a lot. So a lot of times our best bet is just trust people what they say they are. Like if like for me, Will, like you say you're a man, okay. Like there's no reason for me to kind of like question your validity of like your sense of self. Right, because that would be a really funny argument, right? If I'm like, well, you're not a man, you're a woman. And then I just tried to argue the fact that you're a woman because of different characteristics and things that you do that I perceive as feminine. That would be very unproductive. Would you agree?
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm not really talking about. I mean, yeah, there people can lie, and I agree that's like a negligible, portion. But I'm not even really talking about lying necessarily. More so um, like if someone actually, gosh, I really hope this doesn't come across as like disrespectful because I'm not
No,
trying
it's
to
fine. You've been
equate
fine
like
this whole
mental
time.
illness with. I'm sorry.
You've been fine this whole time. I'm not going to take what you say in bad faith. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm like, how can we find? Is it possible? I guess is what I'm asking. For someone to have like a neurological disorder or there something is like not right psychologically with them that is causing them to identify their gender as something that is like maybe more abnormal. And like if that's
Like
the
an
case,
attack helicopter? I know a lot of
sure,
conservatives
yeah,
that identify as attack
yeah.
helicopters because I
I
think
know
their
it's kind of like a
transphobia has rotted their brain.
yeah. I know it's kind of like a joke example, but yeah, in a way, that's kind of what I'm asking.
I mean, we have not identified one central thing that makes people trans. I am of the opinion that it's like it's very similar to, and Josie said this earlier, like what flavor of ice cream do you prefer, right? It's like a complex series of things happening in the brain. And the problem with looking for a specific thing, a specific mechanism that makes someone trans is that then opens us up to people trying to eliminate it medically. So like the idea of a gay gene, that you could like lobotomize a gay person and they would be straight. That's eugenics. So from the perspective of trans people who are happy about being trans, and who like once we transition, our distress is alleviated. One supportive person in our lives dramatically reduces our possibility of attempting suicide and all this kind of stuff. Um, the problem with looking for that is that people will inevitably be like, "Oh, well, this is a problem that we can fix," and most trans people would say, "No, I don't want that," or like, "I don't want to be unconsensually like genetically modified before I'm born." Um, Actually, this is just a really kind of interesting tangent, but Vivian Wilson, who is the transgender daughter of Elon Musk, she was genetically selected to be male. Like according to her story on this is basically that her dad wanted a male child and basically selected for a male embryo, and she still turned out trans. So even when we try to have the perfect genetic outcome, that is still like subject to the person's own individual neurochemistry. And, there's different theories that like trans people have a specific thing in their brains that makes them identify as whatever. And I think regardless of what the causal mechanism may be, maybe it's different for each trans person, maybe there is something we all have in common, but regardless of the causal mechanism, it's just a natural variation of being human. And so to pathologize it or to be seeking like a specific mechanism, it's just like, yeah, but we don't need to do that. Like regardless of the reason, we can just let people do what they want to do to make them happy. And when you were originally asking about scientific evidence, I think the strongest scientific evidence that we have is that when we treat trans people, the overwhelming consensus on the best patient outcomes is to just provide them with gender affirming care. Because we've tried making them do therapy, we've tried making them embrace who they quote unquote were born to be and just lean more into their birth gender stereotypes and all this kind of stuff. we've tried to give people antidepressants and antipsychotic medication, and we've tried institutionalizing people and torturing the gender out of them, and none of that works at either making the person desist in identifying as trans, and it also doesn't improve patient outcomes for their overall well-being. So whatever the underlying mechanism is, it's clearly like a physical thing. Otherwise, physically transitioning wouldn't be so impactful on patient well-being. Because so many people who are trans, they start the hormones, and within 1 month, which is not enough time to have any kind of physical changes, they're like, oh, I feel better. Like my brain chemistry is now it's just less antagonistic being in my own brain all day. Even if you're still like, well, I'm still hoping for that facial hair to come, and I'm still, dysphoric about this about my body. So there's like a clear, this treatment works, and it works consistently. And human beings have been identifying with, non-binary gender, or have been identifying as the quote opposite gender for like all of human history. It's hard to trace back to a certain point because before writing started happening, it's like, everything we know about the Scythian Empire, we know about other cultures writing about them because they didn't write, but they had a culture of transgender priestesses who would remove their testicles and drink the urine of pregnant horses because it was high in estrogen and would cause those priestesses to grow breasts. And basically they invented hormone therapy treatment thousands of years ago. So it just seems to me like a natural variation, like being gay. Like, why do we need to know what made you gay? We wouldn't be looking for that because we've kind of just accepted as a culture. Well, that's not true. I talk to people constantly who are like, being gay is a mental illness. Yeah. So there is that. But you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, my family kind of falls in that camp. That's really interesting too. Thanks for sharing that off the. Yeah. This is really good, like a direction starter for me. I come from a more conservative family, so a lot of I'm surrounded by a lot of like Matt Walsh type media, and I'm not, like I said, I don't subscribe to it, but I have been forced to listen to it, and when I am, sometimes I'm like, oh man, this just sounds stupid, but I also don't like, I also don't know how to refute it. So it's like, that's why I'm calling in.
Well, I really appreciate the conversation, and I know we've been on the call for a minute here, so we will have to move on. I will say this. I was born in conservative rural Texas, in Catholic and religious family. So for me, I didn't come out till I was 34 years old. I joined the Navy. I did the whole thing. Like, I had a career, all presenting as a masculine person, and I still, even though I didn't have the words to say it, I knew that I always wished I was a girl. Like, it was just always in my mind. It was just like this thing that was always in the back of my head as far back as I remember. And I remember 8 years old is when I actually like said it out loud, and then was like shamed for it. And so for me, even when I was in the Navy, even when I was an amateur like bodybuilder, I was like 170 pounds. Like, I was I knew jiu-jitsu. I was like doing all the things that a typical like masculine man would do, and even then, I still would go to bed every night wishing I'd wake up a woman. And it was an irrational thing that I would want my body to change overnight, but that's the dream that I had even when I was a little kid, that persisted all the way up into adulthood. And it wasn't until I became educated and understood that I was a woman the whole time, and once I was able to get gender affirming care at 34 years old, I have been living my best life for the last 6 years. I'm 40 years old now. And I've never experienced true happiness before until after I started getting the treatment for my gender dysphoria. And so regardless if we, tell people that trans people exist, trans people will still always exist because we have existed through history. It's just a gender incongruence with the birth sex that we were assigned. That's just what it is. And humans have had this like experience for the beginning of society. And it's just, now in, the 21st century and early 20th century, we have had really deep scientific understanding and knowledge on how to actually treat this in a way that allows us to live comfortably in our own lives, in our own skin. So that's just how it is. And scientifically, I feel better. I know a lot of trans people that do. That's why the regret rate is less than 1%. I mean, that type of healthcare outcome is very rare. You will not find a more reliable healthcare for some treatment of something at 99% effective. Like, so that's pretty good in my opinion. And I think we should continue to allow trans people to exist and be who they are.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for your time and your patience, and I hope to call back again eventually.
Yeah, please do. And it was a great call. Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Will.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye. You too. All right, that was a good call. It was very good. And it's funny when we actually start having good conversations, like the transphobes on the vertical chat just go nuts.
Losing
It's
their
like
minds.
they lose their minds. It's
Absolutely
so funny.
losing it.
I love it. It's like it's actually like our own little cheering squad. It's so good. It's like they're bigger fans than our fans. Like they just love us so much. Oh my gosh, they have so much to say. It's so great. Thank you.
Unfortunately, lines are closed. Listen, we did not. There's so many keyboard warriors today. I thought that y'all were supposed to be the new Charlie Kirk or something.
Yeah.
Like, we are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame, or whatever the fuck. You guys were supposed to be. You're supposed to come out of the woodwork, and we've had so many people in the chat complaining, and y'all don't call in.
They
and now
don't.
we only have like 30 to 40 minutes left of taking calls before we're going to move on to the end of our show.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's unfortunate. I will still be here. By the way, we are doing Calling It Now after this show. So yeah, don't miss me and Jimmy. I think I tried to make him not work today. If I'm being real with you, don't do the show. That's too much. And he's insistent. He's risen from the dead. He's finally full circle, become Jesus. And we will be streaming. So we will have an opportunity to take more of your calls on the topic of trans people and all that stuff. We will be here for another like 3 hours after this show is over. So like for the next 4 hours, I'm still going to be here having this conversation. So if you just kind of hang out in the chat at the end of this show, which is in about an hour, we'll kick you over to Calling It Now, where our goal is to talk to MAGA and have political conversations. But this is a topic that we discuss frequently.
But you know what it is like it's the biggest contradictory term to all these transphobes that are in the chat here is they all think we're men, and yet when men are doing the show, they're gonna call them.
They will.
So it's like they call cis men, but they don't call trans people. So you're really calling themselves out because they actually know we're trans. Even though they try to say, "Oh, you're just a man," then why didn't you call me? Oh, why didn't you call?
Why are you putting more respect on the cis men? It's almost like you're treating us like women. Isn't that weird?
Wow. Thank you for
accidental gender affirmation.
They're all so gender affirming. I love it so much. It's so kind. These kindness in the weirdest places.
It's true. So before we move on to our next few calls, we do have a couple calls waiting, and we will get to all three of them if y'all stick around. That's the goal. But I do want to tell you about all the other cool stuff that we're doing on the line over the next week or so. Let me pull up my schedule. So there's a Devangelicals episode on Saturday. I think we're still kind of figuring out the details on that, but we should be having one of those on Saturday. We have the Sunday show coming up next this weekend. So earlier in the day, we're going to have Matt Dillahunty with Seth Andrews, followed by a Calling It Now, followed by Sunday Show After Dark with Forrest and Eric, Skeptics and Scoundrels. And then that brings us to Pride Month. Arden is going to be out for the month of June, but we are still going to have all of our regular programming. The producers are just going to be working a little bit extra, and our screeners are going to be working a little bit extra. So shout out to the screeners who are doing so much good work. But for Skeptalk, we're going to have Forrest and John next Monday. On Chewed Gum, we have Taylor and Alyssa, the dream team, as per usual, on Tuesday. And we're actually having Justin, Deconstruction Zone, lead our episode of The Hang Up next weekend. His guest is still TBD. And then you'll have your TACIS, where Ben and Josie are going to be hosting, and I'm going to be the voice of God producing. And I want to just also shout out that we're going to have a Cus I Wanna event next Friday on June 5th for Josie's campaign. She's got the vote is happening in 25 days. So we're doing a last push fundraiser stream to help Josie with the Zerba link in her county campaign that she's working on right now. So we will be having a wonderful long stream, hopefully on June 5th for that. So don't miss it. And we are also about to get to the super chat portion of our show, which means that if you get your $5 or more super chats in, we will read those. And if you donate $5 or more, you can actually vote for either hashtag Team Josie or hashtag Team Lux, no hashtag no vote. And whoever loses that vote will have to defend a silly position, which you can vote on in the chat right now. Should we be defending the silly position, put whatever made the frogs gay in all of our water, or transphobes all wear poopy diapers, or bisexuals get IRS immunity now too? If you don't know, we've been having this running gag of like bisexuals get some special thing, like bisexuals don't have to go to work on Monday and stuff like that. So yeah. Oh man, that's one of the flags that I don't have. I gotta get a bi flag. I'm like, I technically bi, I just identify as queer most of the time. But so get those votes in, get those super chats in as we get close to the end of the show. But we still have plenty of time to take some calls, and I'm ready to get into them.
All right. So let's see. We've had one caller in the queue for a minute, so let's go ahead and take it from how we received them. Yeah. So we are going to bring in Imberly, she, her, from New Zealand. Sorry, thank you. You are live on the line. Sorry to make you wait. You are live with Lux and Josie. Tell us about it.
Hi. No problem waiting. So I'm recently coming out as trans to a bunch of people, and I'm wondering when, if ever, when it's worth it to put up with, because so I'm banned from my parents' house now, and my primary social circle is being weird about it. And when is it worth it to put up with stuff like that to hope on keeping a friendship alive? Is it worth it?
I mean, it's so tough, right? Because each situation is so individual. And it's about what you're personally willing to tolerate, right? And sometimes that patience can be rewarded. Like sometimes you'll come out to people and they will not initially take it well, but eventually they come around. So it's like it's up to you, like if personally those relationships are worth having to essentially fight for, right? And it's also going to be an issue of having to look at the other person in the dynamic and see how much they're willing to fight for the connection that you have, to fight for the relationship. And if other people in your life have a priority list that does not prioritize the relationship, like when we're looking at interpersonal effectiveness skills, there's kind of 3 priorities that you could have, and you have to figure out which order they're in, and that helps you determine what the approach is that you're going to take. So your self-respect, or the relationship, or the objective that you're trying to achieve in a given situation. Like, if you're trying to ask for a promotion, for example, your self-respect might hinge on getting that, or a raise, let's say. Your self-respect might hinge on getting that raise. And your objective in the conversation you're having with your boss is to get that raise. But if you push too hard, you might lose the relationship, i.e. you might lose your job, right? So when you're approaching a given relationship, that's kind of the math that you have to do, is figure out like, okay, so obviously as a trans person, your self-respect is involved. And it's how willing are you to set aside that in order to maintain the relationship? Or if you have an objective within that relationship, like, oh, my parents will take me off their health insurance, which maybe is that's an American-centric problem. If your parents were going to pay for your apartment for the first year of uni, then, you know, the objective in maintaining your financial stability might be the most important thing, right? So it's just kind of, you just have to juggle that. And it's hard to give advice because that calculus is different for each person.
Yeah. Also, I will just add, you know, some people need time and then some people will never have enough time. And that is just unfortunate at this point. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're uncomfortable all the time. And what I mean by time, I mean like maybe you should give them some space for a while. And that's very unfortunate, but sometimes that's what it needs is just like just leave the folks that are terrible for a little bit because you don't want to feel uncomfortable in the spaces that you are. And so did I lose friends when I came out as trans? Yeah, I did. Did I lose family members because I came out as trans? Yeah, I did. But I'm still happier because I did it. And so it's really one of those things where the people who like you for who you are will do their best to try to accept you and respect you. And the people who don't, you either give them some space and give them a chance maybe later, but if they don't, then you're probably better off just like doing what makes you feel the best. It's never gonna be a clean swap. A lot of some people, I know very few trans people that kept and maintained every friendship and family member in their lives. Very, very few. And so it's kind of just part of the experience, unfortunately. But you just got to have an honest conversation with them. Will you ever respect my pronouns? Will you ever, you know, see me as the woman I am? And if they say no, I never will, then that's great. Or if they say, I'm trying, I'm really sorry that I've been getting this wrong. I've just known you for 20 years and that's just how I've always addressed you. Give me time. I'm trying, I'm working on it. Give them some chance, give them some time. And you know, and then maybe they will be able to come around and it just becomes normal as you go through your transition and they see you. They will be like, okay, yeah, you're definitely Emberly. This is great. So I hope that's helpful. I know you waited a long time, but do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. My parents are definitely going to say no. We'll never, which is annoying. I don't know whether that's true or not because they might change. Who knows? My primary social circle is a bit more complicated because, okay, to be less vague, it is my church, and it includes my best friend who's the first person to ever like fully accept me and just go, oh cool, what's your name and pronouns? Right? And it also includes the people in charge there who are trying to figure out how much they're supposed to exclude me from stuff to make it clear that this is a serious issue without actually pushing me all the way away, which is a weird situation to be working through. And so
yeah,
it's difficult.
That is an extra wrinkle. That is very hard because you don't see it on your end, luckily, but like a lot of the people who have been putting hateful comments against us this entire show have been using Jesus and we're praying for you and find God and all of these type of things. And
yeah,
you know, it's very frustrating because their religious beliefs trumps your ability to be happy. And there are just some people who are just really lost in the sauce and they're just like they think they're doing you a favor by trying to make you feel less worthy of love. And that is a deeper issue that is more based in their faith than their care for you. It's very similar to, how I think your parents may be dealing with it, where their ego of who you're supposed to be because that's who they said you were going to be is more important than your care about you and yourself as a human being. And sometimes there is a deep there's a deep-seated barrier of acceptance that has to be an extra barrier that has to be broken through. And unfortunately, people of faith are more likely to disrespect and reject you as a human than people that are in your lives that are more secular. And that is something that you are going to have to think about. And I was going to say this to you as well. I would start looking for other friends that may be more amenable to who you are. Go to queer meetup groups, go to your queer centers, go to events, block parties where there are people who are not completely indoctrinated by a faith that says that you shouldn't exist, and find people who love that you exist. And unfortunately in our world, we live in a world where people will push you away and then blame you for being pushed, while there are other people who are ready to embrace you. And then people get mad that you got pushed into somebody else's arms. Well, that's their choice. They did that. So you are the victim of being pushed. So therefore you have to find someone who's willing to catch you.
Yeah. And thank you for that. My flatmates are both cool people, and I've got a couple gaming groups that I was really worried about one of them, but I just said, hi, I'm trans, my name's Emberly, and they were, especially like the guy I was most worried about immediately is just like always calling me Emberly, M-E-M, like I asked, and it's great.
Yeah.
So I've got, some from both ends of the spectrum, but it's
and you'll find your true friends will come out of the woodwork because of that. And that's a benefit. You're going to find who your true friends are.
Yeah. That was really cool to see, at least. So it's not all been bad. In fact, it's been mostly good. But just
good.
Just
good. I'm happy to hear that. And reflect on the things that are good, right? And just know that unfortunately in our day and age, like losing people who are close to you because of who you are and wanting to be who you are is just kind of comes with the territory. And that's the shared unique trans experience we all share together across the world. No matter how far you are, Emberly, in New Zealand, I feel that same pain. I know Lux feels that same pain. People in the chat are loving on you right now, because we all have that shared sense of pain of what it's like to come out as your true self, but we also share that shared sense of acceptance and love by the people who do love us and continue to be with us and be our friends. And I think those relationships get stronger. And believe me, I'd rather have a close, strong friends than a bunch of weak friends that will turn their back on you the moment it gets convenient.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for your answers.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day, and hope your gaming group stays strong.
Yeah. You too. Have a good day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That was great. I always
It's
feel
rough
bad
out
when people
there.
wait like an hour and a half for a very short little pick me up.
I know. I'm sorry. We're not really equipped for advice giving. It's not really what we're here for. We do it because we have to, because we love you, but it's not really what we're here for.
We do love you, and
we're doing
but
our
the
best, guys.
and the problem is the transphobes are too cowardly to actually have conversations with trans people. So, yep, exactly. All right, we're gonna take Vinny, she, her, from Florida. You are live on the line with Lux and Josie. and you have questions about your 7-year-old saying that he's a boy. So tell us about it.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for having this show. I really appreciate it. I'm just trying to get myself in a room so they don't really hear me too much. Yeah, so I have twin 7-year-olds, and one was born a boy, a male, and one was born female. And I know around 4 years old, they start understanding gender, and it was around like, God, I want to say maybe the end of 5, 6, definitely. Mom, I'm a boy. Mom, I'm a boy. Mom, I want a penis. Mom, I'm a boy. And I'm just like, okay, well, I was kind of like, when you grow up, if you still feel this way, we'll talk about it. It was so adamant. He's correcting his friends. He's correcting adults. And when I gave him permission to do that more, like, if this is how you feel, I'll support you. Oh my gosh, just went like crazy with it, right? Now we're talking to the teachers, and now I'm in Florida, and now this is becoming a thing where people don't want to hang out with us. One of their friends said straight out, they're not going to respect it. But we made strides with that friend because I was like, well, if you're not going to accept it, then we're not going to be your friend. 2 weeks later, they're friends now. So, and they're being respectful with gender neutral terms, which I'm like, hey, this family is like Erica Kirk, Arkansas, whatever we need to do. Okay. I mean, literally, I'm not even joking. So now as a people pleaser, I'm having to put myself in this new reality. So not only do I have a child who's like, I'm a boy, now I have another child who's like, screw you, that's my friend. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say, Mom, which is literally what my 7-year-old said. That is my friend. I don't care how my friend feels about, my other child, my son, my trans son. And I back this up with knowing, like, I tell them all the time, I follow truth, and I justify me saying no to you because when you grow up, you'll understand why we all need to stick together. And it was a blowout. Like, he's trying to open the door, and I'm closing it, and we're screaming, and I'm like, you will not walk out that door. We are going to stick together, kind of thing. And I'm like, as a parent, I don't know how to handle this. I grew up, I'm part of the LGBT community. I grew up being kicked out of the house because I was gay. I dated women exclusively. And I said to them, listen, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to address it. I'm learning as we go. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. But I will always be here for you. And no matter what, I will support you if this is what you want to do. And I don't have all the answers, but we're going to stick together. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to get emotional.
It's okay.
But so I'm like, okay, so how far do I bring this? Because when I was younger, there was all like, oh, it's a phase. Marilyn Manson is a phase. Being gay is a phase. Being punk rock is a phase. And it's like, maybe to an extent, but I feel that all in me. And when, Luxander, when you said like your pronoun was it, and then you explained it, because I was uncomfortable and you said that, I was like, man, that's so badass. I love that. But I don't know. I don't know, like, should I be taking this seriously? Should I be backing up my son all the way? Like, I am reaching out to support groups. There's one that I found, but they're all teenagers. They're all like 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how serious to take this. Should I be taking this seriously? Because I know what it's like to, I have the ABCs of mental health, and I am not going to put my kids through this. Like, this is the worst curse you could ever have. So I want to make sure they're okay. And then another part of this too was like, I don't understand why I feel some kind of loss. Like I don't understand it, because if my kid came out gay, I'd be like, that's cool, but why do and I'm going to call back again because I have another really important question. But I just want you guys to know, like, I grew up with like white nationalist, men have it hard, gay people are abomination. This was all told to my face. So I've spent a lot of time deconstructing. And I just I don't know why I feel this, and I shouldn't feel this, and it's wrong to feel this, but I don't know how to process that. Because what am I missing? I'm not missing anything. I still have my child.
Yes.
So there's a lot.
There is a lot there. I will say you're doing everything correctly. You're supporting your child in this time. Your child sees you as safe. Your child sees you as somebody they can talk to and is not hiding anything from you, which is incredibly powerful. And you've earned the trust of your child and love of your child in a way that most parents that are raising unicorns don't have. So you're great. And you're doing, in my opinion, everything right, which is letting your child explore who they are without any pressure either way or the other. So you're just making sure that they have a safe space around them, and that's important. So as far as resources, I would definitely look up PFLAG. They're a parent queer organization. There's probably a local chapter.
We went to that.
Okay, good. So you're already going to the right places.
And I'm trying to find one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to find one closer because on the bus it's like an hour and a half away. So I was trying to find one closer. But yes, I do know about people.
You can also start your own chapter, right? Because I bet you that there's other parents.
I'm actually almost thinking about it.
Do it. Like seriously, it's designed that way to make sure that you can create more chapters, because I'm sure that there's other parents around you don't even know that are dealing with the same thing. So that's very, very important. Things and since you already have some resources, make sure you get a therapist, the behavioral therapist for your child, pediatric person, because you want
doing that.
Good. So you're already doing the right things, right?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep. I'm sorry. Last time I interrupted you. We are doing that. The problem is I live in Florida, and when I talked to the therapist, I was like, I explained literally to you, what I just explained to you, and they were like, yeah, so okay, and I'm like, so you have nothing to say about this? And then I'm like, after they get done with the session, so what'd you talk about? Well, we played a game, and I'm like, oh. And at 7, I had a therapist tell me they're a little too young to do anything.
Well, that's true. They are too young to do anything, right? That's not the point of the therapist. The therapist is there to document and take records of how your child is interacting with the world. Because what you need is, especially in Florida, you need a documented history, because when you are diagnosing a child with gender dysphoria, you need persistent, consistent, and insistent gender identity of the child to figure out if they have gender dysphoria.
That's a great point.
So the therapist isn't going to tell your child what they are. The therapist is just having a conversation and just observing them on how they interact in the world. So then when you get to the point where your child is starting to have puberty or the markers of puberty, you have a long record of historical data from a therapist or a pediatric psychologist that say, yes, this child has given the patterns and the signs of persistent, insistent, consistent gender dysphoria. So therefore, it's easier, especially in the state of Florida, to be able to say, yes, my child deserves to have gender affirming care, which would be puberty blockers. And then at that point, that's when the medical system kicks in. Because right now, it is too early for the medical system outside of the psychology, right, and psychiatric care. So outside of names, hair, styles, clothing, all of that social stuff, it looks like you're doing that with your schools. You're on the right track. So just go ahead. What were you saying?
That was the next thing I was going to touch on that I forgot to mention. Is my child, everyone, they're a boy, but they like dresses. He likes pink. He likes wearing makeup, and I'm like, well, so do drag queens, and they identify as men, and I'm like, I don't know. Who doesn't love pink and flowers?
Yeah, and again, it's about letting your child explore who they are. And the thing is, what's
Right.
beautiful about it, Benny, is that you're letting them explore all of that without barriers. You're not putting them in a box that says you are a boy. You're not putting them in a box that you are a girl. You are letting them be who they are. And then at that point, that's why the therapy and the psychology is important, to get you a professional backup to say these are the signs and symptoms that they have. And then when they're old enough to understand, that's when you start doing the medical stuff, because then they grow up and they understand, okay, this is the set of puberty that I want to have. And usually that happens at an older age, so you'll be able to understand. And because we all wear different clothes throughout our lives, and what makes us happy when we're kids, and that's the exploratory part. So just continue to allow them to express themselves, because that's the most important piece. Because as soon as you start putting them in a box, either box, it becomes restrictive for your child, and you don't want that to happen, because who knows, they may say, you know what, actually, I want to go through puberty as a female assigned at birth, right? That, like, that could happen too. And the thing is, you are leaving the gateway open for your child to take that step, and it's all informed consensual health care that is involving everybody involved, which is really, really important. And then I promise, Lex, I'm gonna let you in. But I do want to address very quickly about the mourning of your child's, like, the transition piece. That is fairly normal. But as long as it doesn't as long as you're not putting that on your child, that's important. But the reality is,
No, never. Yeah.
when you're parents, you have all these expectations for your kid, right? There's so much involved, there's layers, and there's all of these different expectations that we want in our child, and we see that. And then when things get shifted, there is oh, this wasn't a part of the plan, this isn't what I was expecting. And that romanticization that you put inside of yourself, you have to let it go. And that isn't always easy. This isn't a snap of the finger, oh my gosh, I'm now going to just shift my entire point of view. That is something that you're going to have to struggle with your own ego, right? It's your ego that is putting this on what your expectation was, and you're having to let that go. And that's not easy for everybody. But the fact that you acknowledge it is a huge step in the right direction. Because and it's also an opportunity for you to see a therapist as well, because you may need to be able to see somebody to say, hey, I want to know why I'm feeling this way, because it may not even be related to your child. It may be related to something completely different in your own life that you don't even see yet. So I highly recommend doing that as well, because I'm just a podcaster online right now. Like, so I would definitely suggest professional help on that as well. But I did just talk at you a lot, but I do want to let Lux jump in if Lux has anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Josie, you've covered it pretty comprehensively. I would definitely suggest getting your own therapist is like a big significant part, because it's a difficult thing. You're in Florida where there's don't say gay bills, and you're going to have to navigate that with your kid and everything.
The bathroom now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say, one thing that Josie didn't add, I don't think, that I would like to add is like, your kid is probably old enough, and like, you can hit this from an age appropriate perspective, but probably old enough to understand the idea that some people outside of your family are not going to be okay with it. I mean, you're being confronted with it directly, right? With this other family that you're interacting with. So I would say, like, you can hit on I will always support you in this home. I will always call you what you want to be called. And at home, you can do this, that, and the other. And also the world outside of our home is not always going to be a nice place. And like, it's really tough, because you're probably still in that phase where they're young enough that you want to protect them from the idea that the world is a bad place. I adopted my younger sibling when they were a late teenager. So like, I have a parental role, but I didn't have to go through that particular transition of like, I don't want you to know. I did have one of those. I was like, you don't need to know this very specific information that I know about how we used to literally torture Black bodies when we like had them as chattel slaves. Like, yeah. So like I've touched on that a little bit. You're in that phase. The world is starting to get very real for your kid, and there is like a need to balance that, right, with protecting their innocence. So I would say be as direct and forthcoming as you can be with him about like, look, there are going to be people who don't like this and you don't have any control over it, and it's not your fault that you are the way that you are, and that other people are going to react however they're going to react, and that those other people's reactions are not a reflection on you and your value. Like, you are still a big, beautiful, important person in the world. And just, being there for them, like when the world gets hard, being that soft place and trying your best to, just make sure that the home is always going to be a safe place. Like, and that is critical. Like, your kid is so much better off than so many other kids in the same position because they have you as their supportive person. And like explaining to the twin as well, like, look, the world out there is not going to be very kind sometimes, and we are all on a team together. Like framing it in that way of like, we're all going to bat together. Sometimes the world is going to be against us, and we have to be there for each other. And you're already hitting on that. I'm just suggesting like,
and that's okay for me to force him. Like,
well,
literally, like, you are not going outside. You will understand this when you get older, when I can, because I remind them all the time, we are a family of truth and science and research, and you have to make sure you can back up whatever you say. So I feel like I can do that. So when he gets 13 years old and he's like, I hate you. And I'm like, well, this is why I tell you this stuff, So, I mean, is that's okay? I mean, to kind of like put your foot down, be like, no.
I mean, as a parent, that sucks that sometimes you have to be like, no, absolutely no to certain things, right? Like if you have a kid who like wants to go have a sleepover at some parent's house and you think that the parents are sketchy, right? But so there's like some clear situations.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So if you're like this other family is bullying my other child, I think it is perfectly within your reasons. And like, yes, sometimes kids will not understand, and you can try your best to explain, here's why I want you to do this, or here's why you're not allowed to do this. And like, that's always been my prerogative, is like, I'm going to do my best to explain why I want you to do this, and hope that your understanding it will make it easier for you to follow through with my teenager, who's actually not a teenager anymore. They just turned 20. Jesus Christ. Yeah. But, and like at a certain point, just being like, okay, I've explained to you why certain thing needs to be done around the house or whatever. And now that I have entrusted you with a certain amount of responsibility to take care of it yourself, if it's not getting done, I will start to impose consequences, or I will just tell you what to do when it's time for you to do it, and you will do it. And that is conflict, right? And that doesn't feel good as a parent to have to be like, do the thing I told you to do now. And like how to be firm and enforce that, especially as a people pleaser. But like, this situation kind of necessitates that you find the inner mama bear who is going to be like, no, fuck you. You don't get to talk to my kid like that. Like, we're not dealing with this situation. We're going to remove ourselves from the situation. That kind of is necessary because you have to defend a child from a world that wants to maybe not hurt them exactly, but like is not willing to embrace and accept them in a way that ultimately is hurtful for them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's like, I feel like the only thing I can do is what I wish my parents had done. But, when you're a parent, you're like, oh, I want to make sure they have good relationships with each other. And, and it's like, and am I doing too much? Am I being overprotective? I just kind of question everything I do. And I love that you guys are like confirming that I'm on the right path. And you're absolutely right about the parenting thing. Like, I have no problem going, you need to clean your room and put my foot down. But then when it comes to the interpersonal relationship between each other, I'm like, oh my God, am I screwing it up? But you're right. Like, you got to put your foot down.
And it can be like, you don't have to like each other, but you have to be respectful.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. You have to at least be kind to each other in the house, right? Even if they disagree, or if the one kid blames the other kid for like, oh, I can't hang out with this person anymore because of you. It's like, you can feel hurt about losing a friendship and also not take it out on the other kid. It's not their fault. It's the other kid being mean, like to your kid, basically. And you can frame it in that way. Like, look, if somebody is being mean to you, do you think that it's okay if I continue to invite them over and like be friends with them, or would you be upset, right? And kind of give them that empathy perspective. Yeah, because it's tough and it is hard to be like, why can't I hang out with this person anymore? They've always been nice to me, and having to explain that to a kid and getting them to really understand is tough. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what he said. He goes, well, she doesn't do that to me, and I'm like, that is your brother.
Yeah, that's I think. Well, remember, kids are always going to have more individualistic, so selfish point of views, which is very normal.
True,
it's normal. It's like so it's kind of like it's like we are friends with people who respect everybody in our family, right? At building that family bond. But Vinny, I really appreciate this conversation. We have to take one more call before we close out the show.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that you called in. And I would really recommend thinking about starting your own PFLAG chapter, like, and find other,
I think I am. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's really great resources to do that.
Thank you so much.
Low-key,
I
if
really
you can move out of Florida,
you
you
guys
should do
letting
that.
me know I'm on the right. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Low-key, if you can move out of Florida, you should try to do that, though, because that's only going to become a bigger problem for your kid the older they get.
That's actually, because I actually have like, I need to call back again because I have a whole nother thing that I would like to talk about, but that is actually one of the things I thought about up in Minnesota or Delaware, but it feels like all these states are right on the border of just tipping over to where Florida's at. And to uproot like that.
I'm running for county council in Maryland, so for me, it's like I'll make sure that those laws stay right.
Yeah.
But no, we definitely call back and have that conversation. I think it's important.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have a few more. You'll be hearing from me again.
Sounds great,
and I hope you guys so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for being a good mama bear. All right, talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
We have one call left, and we're going to speed run it.
It should be quick. Hello, we have Jen from Utah. You are live on the line with Josie and Lux. How are you? It seems like you are an egg, and you want to talk about your own pronouns. Tell us about it.
I'm old. I feel like I shouldn't be questioning, but I was born female, and I was sexually abused starting from the time I was 5 until I was, until I was an adult. And in therapy, they kept telling me that anytime I didn't want to be, like anytime I wouldn't own my femalehood, it was just because of that. But I recently had an experience where I experienced like gender euphoria, where I was walking down the street and this kid said, "Is that a girl or a boy?" And I was filled with this thrill that I have never experienced. So I sought you all out, trying to, I have fallen down the rabbit hole of researching, and that's how I found you. So now here I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lux, I'll let you start this conversation.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say if you're starting to find some euphoria, then just run with that, explore it a little bit. I always tell people don't worry so much about specific labels or specific pronouns, at least initially when you're first starting to explore this. If you find that certain things are making you feel zingy and happy, then it's okay, well, that's a clear indication. That's information, basically. You're in an information collecting portion of this, which is to say, I find sometimes for me, I'm surprised by myself. I'm like, why do I love Battle Beast so much? I don't know why, but I love Battle Beast. He's a character in Invincible. He's just got bloodlust all the time, and he's my fucking favorite character. That's a thing I'm discovering about myself. why. So you're in a kind of similar place where you're basically doing a little call and a response with yourself sort of thing, where you're like, well, what if I try this? And then you're waiting to hear the response of like, does that make you feel good? Does it make you feel bad? I still do this with myself sometimes because like in many political ways, I'm aligned with womanhood. And sometimes I'm just like, I get lumped in with women and I'm like, how does that feel? Gross. Still gross. So we still have this ongoing thing because of the constant invalidation that we're receiving. And I want to honor the fact that that's going to still happen probably. Even once you figure out your answers, you're going to be like, am I sure though? And then it'll be 15 years later and you still have to occasionally ask yourself, am I still sure though? But just have fun with it mostly.
Yeah.
I like that.
And start exploring with different types of outfits and clothes and whatever. Like, this is an opportunity for you to kind of like be yourself in a way that you probably never have before, which is so exciting. Look, I transitioned at 34, and so I was also a later in life transitioner, and so for me it's like that is something you can explore and have fun with in a way that allows you to experience that gender euphoria. And when it comes to your pronouns, like have friends around you, like try friends that go they them, and have friends that say he him, and and as a start, and see what makes you feel better. Experiment with a different name, right? Like go by an androgynous name or a masculine name, and around people that you care about. Order food on the phone. I know people still do that now. But you can order food and still on the phone or something, and have a customer service call with somebody that will name you something different, and just see how that lands for you. Is all different things that you can experiment with to play around with. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, good luck on your new journey.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, sorry, we're gonna have to cut the call short. I feel so bad that you waited for so long, but we do have to close out the show for another show that's about to start. So, I really appreciate you, and call us back if you ever figure out what pronouns you like.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. No worries. Have fun. All right.
Jen.
Bye. All right, and that is the end of the calls. We did it.
We did it. Yeah.
Yes, awesome. So now is our super chat portion of the call. That means that we read super chats of $5 or more. And if you finish with a hashtag Team Josie or hashtag Team Lux, that puts a point on the board, and the loser has to defend. Let's see what it is. Put made frogs gay in water. So that one looks like it won in a landslide in both of the chats.
Both of the chats, yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to be arguing that. So we'll start with $5 from Joshua Everett 9887. I need to start running in local elections. There were 14 unopposed candidates in my primary season ballot this year. In that spirit, hashtag Team Josie. Yes, run. Let these incumbents fight for their seats.
Yeah.
Don't let them run unopposed. Make them make an argument on why they need to stay in power.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for $10 from Alyashana Silverbow, who says, have you heard about the athlete who had to stop listening to music? I thought it was a little cruel, but then I heard that she kept breaking all the records. Hashtag Team Josie.
That was a good one.
Thank you. Yes, that was a good one. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I like that actually a lot. It was good.
Do I need to threaten y'all with violence so that we can get more puns? You'll do more puns the more violence that is threatened.
Yeah, it's £5 from Mystic Mind Analysis. Pride Month is coming, and we should raise our collective goblets to our gay metal god, Rob Halford, and to all of my fellow trans metalheads. Hashtag Team Lux.
I don't know who that is. I don't
either, but you know who's a metalhead? Danica Rome. Fun fact.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah. Fun fact.
I love
there.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the 20 from Beaker Squeakers, who says, can't believe TACIS is going to be out for all of Pride all for pride of all
What?
months. Yeah, there was a misunderstanding. I'll address it in a second. But at least it's for a better reason than Jimmy's cancellations. Here's the money I owe you for June. Good luck. It's time to duel. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, we're doing rock, paper, scissors. We'll do that. Okay. Okay, rock,
paper, scissors, shoot.
Shoot. Oh, no, we're scissoring. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay, it's another.
Oh, you got me.
It's another
rock.
Wait,
oh,
no.
Oh, it is another rock.
I just had my hand tilted up.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay, ready? Rock,
paper, scissors, shoot.
We did it again. Okay, we call it a draw. This one's moot. We can't keep doing it.
Can't do it. Yeah, we don't have time.
There was a typo or something earlier. We're still going to do TACIS throughout June. Arden's just going to be out, and I will be doing the producing instead. So
yes, absolutely. And 3 times it'll tie. That's it. Too many scissoring. This is a PG show. No, it's not. It's rated R. But
we did it twice.
Yeah, we don't want to make this a mature.
That's the thing about scissoring, though, is you can just keep going and going and going forever.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a trap. You'll get stuck there.
It's a trap. Yeah, definitely. $5 from Mountain Ali. I brought an under the desk peddler and pull-up bar to stretch my back because of Lux. I'm super appreciative of your advice. # Team Josie. # vote for Josie. Yay!
True.
Thank you. That's great.
Thank you for $10 from Moira, who says trans rule because seriously, how else can equality flourish? True.
Mm-hmm.
True. Thank you.
$5 from Alamala 38. Hi, favorite duo. Do you have any tips for getting over internalized transphobia? Thanks. # Team Lux. Just live yourself and eventually it starts to fade away. At least that's what it was for me. Yeah, exactly. Get that gender euphoria. It works. I'm telling you, you get over it over time. I had deep internalized transphobia until I really started living my truth.
Thank you for $10 from SJL, who says, I was up to 40 minutes on the elliptical. Then I needed a hip replacement. Got it. Then I tried jogging for about a week and the other hip flared up. My body hates me. Do low impact sports. Do a rowing machine ergometer or pedals, like do a stationary bike situation. Swimming, also good. Do low impact. It's better for you in that situation. Although doing some mild impact is good for your bones in general. If you jump, do burpees, good for your bones.
Yeah. $5 from Brimey CX Cute Cat. # Team Cat. That's
indeed.
I'm #
He's a
Team
baby.
Dog.
Thank you. $10 from Supreme Gentile, who says, I am unpopular with other Nats because I have no issue with gay or trans rights, but consider myself atheistic, nationalist, socialist. I still believe in Yidoid state being removed. Crazy. You're a crazy person, and I don't like that I have your money now. But thanks, I guess.
I would have put that through if I had seen. Oh, God.
Yikes.
The voice of God
I'm
is
so
echoing
sorry.
today. Yeah. Don't know what's wrong with you.
I don't know what's wrong. Voice of God. $10 from Legally Mod. Is there a trick to preventing myself from flirting with older men as soon as I'm comfortable with them? It's basically automatic now. As soon as I let my guard down, # Team Lux, # Gay Frogs. Sorry, it's just how you're built. Just how you built. Sorry.
Are you on prog? You might pull back on the prog. That might help a little bit. $5 from Alice, thank you, says # Team Lux. Some specimens are shockingly cheaper than I thought. I'll have to get one for myself next. Yes, was it you? Where the fuck is it? Was it you, Alice, who bought me my tiny frog? Because thank you. It's my first wet specimen. It's a tiny frog that's been diaphanized, so the tissue is all clear and the bones are fucking pink, and it's so cool. And you can buy me things on my wish list at throne.com/Luxander.
It doesn't look happy though. It looks gone.
It's dead.
It's dead.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is cute.
It is
morbidly so.
I know.
Morbidly cute.
Add it to my collection of bones, my bobcat skull, and everything.
Yeah,
I forgot you're a vegan. Oops.
$5 from ALMALOMM 20. 38. Sorry, I'm leaning into not knowing how to say this.
Mhm.
Love the suit, Josie. How is the campaign going? Can you believe we're already halfway through 2026? Insanity. Hashtag Team Josie.
We still
Thank
have a
you.
whole month before we're halfway through. Calm
I
down,
know,
everybody.
25 days away. And yeah, it's better during like a podcast because it's like when I stand up, it makes me look very boxy because it's like an
Mm,
oversized blazer, but it looks
mm.
good on screen. So I use it like that.
You got to do the secret button when you're standing
Yeah.
up. It's like it makes
I
it tighter in the middle.
Well, I do. I just got to get it tailored more.
Oh, yeah. That was another thing that I was going to suggest to that caller, and I didn't. It's like, somebody who sews, probably have your
Yeah.
clothes tailored so that they fit you better.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you for the 10 New Zealandish dollars from Mountain Eucalyptus, who says, thanks for taking my call. Heart advice calls. I wouldn't mind if you had to drop my call to talk to more cool people like Will and Vinny or take hostile calls. I'm painting while waiting. Hashtag Team Josie. Well, thank you.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
£5 from Nick Palpatine, or Catting Palpatine. That's what I'm going to say. I'm 2.5 hours late and drunk, but maybe Luxander should listen to Drumnot. Hashtag team because I'm old school.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
That's
Listen,
Katie's
I
band.
don't. What?
It's Katie.
That's Katie's
Yeah,
band.
Team Katie.
Oh,
Katie's
that's
band.
Katie's band. Oh shit, I did not know that Katie had a. Is that a? Okay, that's Katie has a metal band. Damn, that's fucking crazy. I should listen to that. I was about to be like, not really taking music recommendations, but thank you. But now I have to.
Now you have to. You just got
True.
yeah.
Thank you for $5 from Mira Featherbender. Yeah, Miracle. Yeah, it's pronounced like Miracle. Emberly is such a beautiful name. All the best to you, love. Hashtag Team Trans the Politicians. Hashtag Team Josie. True.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's trans them all. Transgender for
Trans
everybody.
all of them. Yeah.
Transgender for everybody. $5 from Joshua Everett 9887. I'm so sorry to hear about Jimmy showing back up to work. We are all sorry to hear about our mutual loss of a break from Jimmy. Hashtag Team Josie, hashtag Jimmy.
I had to do so many Sunday shows in May because Jimmy was helping his girlfriend move or something. I don't know what he was doing, but man, you got a break from Jimmy just fine, okay? I know because I showed up for all those Sunday shows. Thank you for $10 from Murky, who says, went to a pop-up protest today and had to miss stream. I had a lot of fun, though. Good luck at the primaries from a fellow Marylander, Josie.
Yay.
Yeah. Hashtag Team Future County Council at large. Hashtag Team MD. Hashtag Team Josie. True.
Yes. I'm feeling really good about this campaign.
Mm-hmm.
$10 from Zach Bortson 7923. I really appreciate everyone on the line. Everything you do. You are wonderful. Keep being amazing. Thank you very much. Hashtag Team Josie. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Wow.
Wow.
With the $100 donation from Billy Sipes. Thank you. You are always so generous. It was wonderful getting to talk to you recently as well. Thank you to both of our hosts for being absolutely awesome and wonderful people. Hashtag Team Lux. Thank you.
Yeah, wow.
I'm losing today.
Yeah, but you
Big
got
time.
a $99 dono though.
That's true.
Five from Mira Featherbender. I thought the ball was getting bigger. Then it hit me. Hashtag Team Josie.
Mm-hmm. I actually had a shirt for a long time that said a frisbee, but had that same joke on it.
That's funny.
Thank you for the $10 from Inquiring Raven. I don't usually watch live, but here's a super chat, a pun. My favorite, don't trust atoms. They make up everything. Hashtag Team Josie. True. Gotta watch out for those atoms.
Gotta watch out for those atoms. Yeah. $5 from Alishana Silverbow. When I was growing up, my dad would travel a lot. He was a good man, but a terrible basketball player. Hashtag Team Josie. I love that. That's a good one. We get good puns. Thank you for asking for them because they're great.
Yeah. Thanks for $5 from Legally Mod, who says, but I don't want to pull back on Prague. Also, I automatically flirt with older women, but that's less awkward. Hashtag Team Lux. Hashtag slut phase. Listen, embrace it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it while you can.
And me being like in my 40s, you do you, queen.
Absolutely.
Because I'm the old Thea now.
That's absolutely right. You fully embodied it now.
I am. I got the gray hairs to prove it.
Yeah.
I've
got like white hairs that are actually like the full length of my hair instead of just being like short ones. They've had time to grow all the way out. And so I'm like, oh, hey, there's one down there. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I
Tell
like
me
it.
about your one gray hair again. All right, let's go.
Are you ready? I'm
They're
so
just all
sorry.
over here where I shave my head. Charging up the time we're doing put what made frogs gay in the water, and I have to do it, and I'm so sad, and I'm gonna cry. Oh no, it's time. Okay, so whatever's making the frogs gay. Okay, listen. First of all, be careful that it's not this. Whatever this was, we don't want this to happen. Make my bones pink. I don't know about that. Okay, make my flesh transparent. That might actually be appealing. But no, whatever they put in the water to make the frogs gay, we need to do it everywhere. Okay, because the thing is that the whole world would be so much more interesting if everyone was gay. And by the way, gay includes bisexual. So I'm not saying let's end the human race by no longer reproducing. Okay, what I'm saying is we need a little bit more. We need a little bit more of this in our day-to-day lives. We just and make everybody gay. I pulled them up from down there.
Trans and gay for everybody.
Trans and gay for gay frogs. Everybody's familiar with the song. Listen, this is what we're doing. We're making the frogs gay and we're making the people gay. And if there is a little bit of a Spider-Man subplot where somehow like whatever the thing is that turns the frogs gay also makes people into amphibians, that could also be an interesting angle because then we could absorb water through our skin, which would be neat. And we could jump really far, which does not necessarily mean landing gracefully because there's a lot of tiny frogs that do not have the ability to land normal. If you've seen them, it's very funny. They just leap into the air and then tumble and cartwheel as they land on their faces. It's very funny. And bisexuals are klutzes. So that's how that connects.
That's true. That I can attest to that.
And that's our show.
That's our show. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate all of you. Great. We did have some calls, and the transphobes were cowards once again.
Losers and cowards. But you can go to our patreon.com/calltheline and support us. You can help when Jimmy needs to take time off. And if you want to see LineCon happen in person, or if you want to go to online LineCon, we're going to do 2 of them in June. So